Studio 6B on a Thursday night, September 29th, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Real America's Voice. Glad you're in, everybody, wherever you're watching, whether it's on Real America's Voice or any of the social media. Glad you're a part of the show, as always. So we appreciate all your 2 hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10, right here on Real America's Voice. Slick's going to do some sports. Delgado's got the greatest headlines in the world. Vinnie Mac is here tonight in studio. He's going to have some news as well. Aaron and Fran holding it down, as always. Slickster, how are you?
Doing good, Big D.
Have you seen the opening foursomes for tomorrow?
It looks unbelievable. Are you going to be there at 7 a.m. for tee-off?
I will not be there.
Why not?
Termination has been made. And I'll tell you, well, I'm not going to get into waste a lot of time on it, but I had the opportunity to. Me and Delgado's mutual friend had a ticket for me.
Really?
But I talked to one of my buddies who was there yesterday and said the way the course is roped off, it's impossible to walk and follow a group.
Oh, forget it.
The way it's roped.
That's not for you.
The way you have to cross and where you have to go to get to the next hole.
Right.
You couldn't follow a group. And that's what I'd want to do.
No,
I don't want to pick one place and just sit there.
That's not you.
And watch the four groups come through, because that takes about an hour and then you're done. What's the point of trudging over there, getting 3 hours to get in the place? And
it's going to be 3 days of great golf, though.
I'll be on the couch.
It'll be great golf.
And that's where it'll be.
All right.
So the opening pairs, the opening foursome is fire.
Fire.
DeChambeau and JT. Come on.
They should kill it.
They've got to get it done.
Yeah.
Pressure's on already. That twosome has to get it done and get an early point. So
make a statement.
Exactly. Anything else coming up in sports that we should be looking forward to, Slickster?
Well, we got CNN talking about the New Orleans Saints and comparing the GOP, actually the Democratic Convention Party to the obviously CNN in New Orleans. So we got that, and we also got preseason hockey, and more importantly, Big D, Thursday Night Football, TNF.
All right, very good. Are we going to make a quick odds makers pick here before 8:20? Okay, very good. Well, I'd ask Delgado and Vin what's, first their days and what's the news is, but we all know what the news is. As a matter of fact, we've kind of changed what we were going to do in the opening segment here because of this news that hit right before we came live. And that, of course, is that one of the most corrupt people to ever hold office, that'd be one James Comey, was indicted tonight about an hour ago. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
I almost feel like we should be doing golf claps in honor of the Ryder Cup.
Golf clap. Oh, yeah. One count of making a false statement, which, of course, is a 1001 violation, and one count of obstruction of justice. Obviously, people who are calling for an orange jumpsuit and a mugshot, that would be after hopeful conviction, not yet. For the false statement, the max is 5 years in prison. Obstruction of justice is going to vary upwards of 10 years, though, depending on, obviously, the specifics. But there's a lot here to dig into. And when you look back at his 2020 congressional testimony, we played, as a matter of fact, we could probably play it again. There's many moments that you can look back on, and you know this little slime ball was lying out of his teeth. And as we said, the first time he ever shook President Trump's hand in the White House, we knew that he was already lying.
It was greasy.
And already laid the plans to try to hang treason around the president's neck. And we know what he did then. And we know the leaks that were coming. He leaked like a sieve, which, of course, is the main video is Chuck Grassley questioning him about strategic media leaks that he was doing in 16 and 17 that were then justifying the surveillance warrants on FISA, if you go back and remember. So all of this was happening. And you know who was smack dab in the middle of all of it, who has a bird's eye view to all of this and probably looks at this today and says, let's get going on building this case, is FBI Director Kash Patel, because Kash Patel and Devin Nunes were solely almost responsible for trying to uncover a lot of this. And then, of course, Chuck Grassley and the committees who did their work. But Devin Nunes and Kash Patel did yeoman's work in uncovering a lot of this. So, there's some negatives here to talk about when you look at it as a whole, too. Eastern District of Virginia. When you think about them securing a conviction, just imagine a jury of lying Democrats to get on there and overpaid bureaucrats who work in Washington in that area. So that's the first negative you can look at. But, when you look at this is going to go for a very long time. And a conviction would absolutely be a huge bonus here, but the process is really the main consideration here. The process is going to be the punishment. They can indict all of them. Look at everybody around him. That's what they should do. Make them go through absolutely months of litigation, because this is the new ground rules that the Democrats set. So now they're going to have to live by them. So whether it ends in conviction or not, none of us are going to know. But the process is going to uncover and disclose a lot of facts that Comey and the Democrats are not going to be happy about becoming public.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to be a huge part of the damage control here for them. Delgado, what did you think when you saw this?
Finally, though he was my second pick. My first pick was Bolton because he was the one that was, excuse me, he was the one that was rated. But you know what? I'm happy with the Comey. I'll take the Comey as my number one pick. Sure. Yeah. Let's go with it. Let's go, because this guy's been out front the whole time making the case that the basically, I think you said it best, Damon, earlier when you said treason. This guy was guilty of treason, leading the effort to overthrow a duly elected president. It started from the moment that he won the campaign, even before he won the campaign. They were in cahoots, and now we all know because, what do you call it? Kash Patel and who is it? What's her name? I forget her name with the hair. DNI. Tulsi Gabbard. She released all the information that these guys were plotting before the election to make sure that they could stop Trump. We've heard we've been on top of this for God knows how long. But it's great to see it now front and center for the American people to start to digest this, because this is something that was ongoing, and there's no statute of limitations on treason. So he's got that to look forward to. When you talk about, now we're moving forward with a court case, finally, hopefully, and that he doesn't make a deal, because that's also potential. He can make a deal going, there's too much in here. I'm going to get squashed. I got to make sure I protect myself, my family, our health, make sure something doesn't happen to me. He might make a deal and say, okay, we're going to give you this, but you can't look at all this. We'll see what happens, but it'll be interesting. I'm celebrating. I don't care what Eric Swalwell says, because he's threatening prosecutors who bring these cases. Too bad.
Yeah. By the way, before I come to you, Vin, we're learning also tonight that the James Comey indictment case right now is currently assigned to a Biden appointee, Judge Michael S. Nachmanoff, Nachmanoff. I guess that's pronounced Nachmanoff. That's according to Politico. So a Biden judge in a place that you'd say is, like I said, you could imagine a jury of a bunch of overpaid federal bureaucrats and Democrats who are lying to get themselves on there.
Yep.
But give me your thoughts.
First off, I'd like to see different categories of indictments. So the FBI director was clearly corrupt, James Comey, and so were FBI agents working within it, Peter Strzok, others. So one, I want to see the FBI cleaned up. More indictments need to happen there. Two, Adam Schiff is like number 2 on my list. Why? Not only because of what he did, but because senators in general were so corrupt and are so corrupt, they need to be taken to task and indicted. So I want to see those two categories, those two groups with multiple indictments. The first one here is great with Comey. I'm very happy about this. I think it is, and we're not celebrating. I think to your point, Damon, when they get dragged through the process of court, they get dragged through all the evidence like they try to do with Trump, embarrass the heck out of him, make him spend all this money. That is, one thing that I want to see happen to them, so we can see what actually happened and have them be under oath testifying to try and get out of whatever trouble they're on. So I love that. The other point I'll make is this is why I love Trump's picks. Kash Patel. He and Devin Nunes were digging deep underneath the swamp. Deep. And they've uncovered all sorts of stuff from January 6th to this whole Russia phony thing. And, when you make Kash Patel the head of the FBI, he already knows where those bodies are buried. Like, he just has to start poking around and looking. So to me, that one of the things I was so happy about that pick was that he knew where the bodies were buried. So I love that. And number 3, I think we should start a shell collection and send him to whatever prison that Comey's going to be in, so he can do a few little works of art with shells with the fellow inmates. They may like that.
Yeah.
It could be very fun for him to do too.
Shells for cells.
Yeah.
He might need some, and kind of take care of things when he goes to the bathroom. You never know.
This is May 3rd, 2017. Having not read the indictment yet, I would bet that this is going to be the main exchange, or one of them that's pointed to it. Here it is.
Director Comey, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
Never.
Question 2 on relatively related. Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
No.
Has any classified information relating to President Trump or his associates been declassified and shared with the media?
Not to my knowledge.
You testified before the House Intelligence Committee that a lot of classified matters have ended up in the media recently. Without getting into any particular article, I want to emphasize that, without getting into any particular article, is there an investigation of any leaks of classified information relating to Mr. Trump or his associates?
I don't want to answer that question, Senator, for reasons I think you know. There have been a variety of leaks. Well, leaks are always a problem, but especially in the last 3 to 6 months. And where there is a leak of classified information, the FBI, if it's our information, makes a referral to the Department of Justice, or if it's another agency's information, they do the same, and then DOJ authorizes the opening of an investigation. I don't want to confirm in an open setting whether there are any investigations open.
I want to challenge you on that, because the government regularly acknowledges when it's investigating classified leaks. You did that in the Valerie Plame case. What's the difference here?
Well, the most important difference is I don't have authorization from the department to confirm any of the investigations they've authorized. And it may be that we can get that at some point, but I'm not going to do it sitting here in an open setting without having talked to them.
There you go. We'll discuss that clip when we get back, because I think that's going to be a key clip in this whole thing. So, all right, live from Studio 6B, 13 past the hour, just getting started. Lots to do on a busy Thursday night. We're back right after this.
Chuck Grassley knew the answers.
Of course he did.
Yes. While he's asking these questions, so you could just see in his face. Of course. That was great.
Rhetorical, baby.
10 seconds of silence would give it away.
Yeah, that was that got me thinking. Yeah. Right. Back on social media here with my folks from Facebook. I check Facebook all the time, guys. I mean, I don't know. You're on YouTube there, Rick?
I'm on the YouTube. So I'm usually on the Rumble.
Yeah, I mean,
you're in the Rumble.
No super chats yet, Vinny. David Wiley Wiles. What are you looking for in the YouTubes? How many YouTubes?
He's Delgado's on YouTube. I'm doing Facebook. I got all my folks there from Facebook. Doris McKee. I haven't seen Doris there. Doris, good to see you. Lisa's out there. Cheryl Merrill's out there. She's watching.
Yep. I got Turnpike Man, Moon Pie, Marilyn Schwoob, Peggy P, Bill Moore.
Now, Kathy Turner is saying that there's lots of info coming out that lots of agents in the FBI are ready to start dishing. That we need to hear. And they should be. Like, you just hope now everybody starts turning. I think they have been. Lots of, folks whistleblowing. There's no shortage of that. Laura Rose, good to see you.
Howdy in the Rumbles to the Trump 99B, Regina Matthews, Broomstick, Mike VL72, TJK 3746,
Whoa.
Ordinary Passenger, The Hoser,
Ike.
Regina Matthews, I mentioned you, yeah, Brownie Bow, Susie 321, among others.
Are we picking
Drake
the game tonight or no?
99.
Denise Martinez, she's
Seattle
out there.
and Arizona.
Michaela.
Seattle and Arizona.
Michaela Vaccaro.
Oh, I got to do my pick.
I love that
yeah.
name.
Seattle and Arizona. What is the line? I think it's
Seattle
like
minus 1.5.
Yeah, I thought it was 1.5. I go like. You are correct, Big D. Seattle is favored by 1.5 on the road at the State Farm Stadium, where they had the Charlie Kirk ceremony this weekend.
Wow.
That's where the game is tonight.
That's sacred ground to me right now.
Sure is. I agree with you, Vin, on that one. 100%. But, yep, that's where the game is tonight.
Hey, Karen Schweitzer, good to see you.
State Farm Stadium, Glendale, Arizona, 8:15 kickoff. Just about, well, they just kicked off now. We don't have the game on here, but game is just underway. No score there. Seahawks are playing good defense.
You could put the game on or Wheel of Fortune, maybe. It'd be really fun.
And Wheel of Fortitude.
That's what I normally watch. You guys all talk about all these picks. I got no clue, honestly. I don't even know who's playing that foursome.
If you look at our statistics, we don't either. Come on, Vin.
Yeah, your statistics, you guys aren't doing very well. I might do better not knowing a thing.
$17 past the hour, live from Studio 6B on a Thursday night. So I just played the Chuck Grassley clip. That was, I believe, 2017, May 3rd, 2017 to be exact. And if it was left at that, the statute of limitations would have been run already on that testimony. The problem for Comey, and I believe, again, what we'll see here in the indictment is that it was that testimony in 2017, which led to his congressional testimony in 2020, wherein Ted Cruz, when questioning Director Comey, said to him, now, Director Comey, on May 3rd, 2017, in this committee, Chairman Chuck Grassley asked you point blank, quote, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation? You responded under oath, never. He then asked you, have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton administration? You responded again under oath, no. Now, as we sit here today, Andy McCabe, who works for you, has publicly and repeatedly stated that he leaked information to the Wall Street Journal and that you were directly aware of it and that you directly authorized it. Now, what Mr. McCabe is saying and what you testified to in this committee cannot both be true. One or the other is false. Who's telling the truth? And in response to Ted Cruz's line of questioning, James Comey said, I can only speak to my testimony. I stand by the testimony you summarized that I gave in May of 2017. So that is the 5-year statute of limitations that we're up against. His testimony to Cruz in 2020 about that video I just played for you from 2017. So that is the basis, my understanding is, of the 1001 violation, I guess.
Yeah, it is that they talked about that today. He's a weasel. He's just a weasel. This guy, you can tell with his testimony and everything he talked about what a weasel this guy really is. And I want to say something about Pam Bondi. She's been catching a lot of flack, and I probably have been part of that because, you know, we're not we're impatient. We want to see, indictments, right? I think we've talked about this, Delgado, a few times.
Yeah.
We want to see indictments, and I want to give a shout out to Pam Bondi. Okay. This wasn't about Trump tweeting last week, by the way. You don't get a grand jury together and an indictment in a week, okay? This has been going on. It's being prepared, as are other cases. So I, for one, probably got to step back a little and just be a little more patient with Pam Bondi to hope that there are others. You're not.
I'm not.
Yeah, so why?
She's had enough time. The fact that President Trump had to go and put a truth out and blast her on it, for her to make a move, because they were hoping this would run out, and the guy that they had in there beforehand wasn't going to bring the charges. They knew that because he's one of them. That's exactly what happened, and I'm glad he was able to get his new pick in there. Obviously, his new pick, this woman Hannigan, as he said, I've already seen 30 plus documents, which means this lawyer that he picked, who was his lawyer in the White House, also had seen everything and knew what they had. Yeah. There was no reason to hold this up. And Pam Bondi's, I think she's got some other masters she's serving besides the president.
Well, here's the other thing to remember, because you're going to see a lot of this, is that Trump is weaponizing the FBI.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
No, Trump's not weaponizing the FBI. Comey weaponized the FBI and got caught.
Yep.
That's why we are where we are. Yep. Not because Trump did anything. Comey weaponized the FBI and now got caught. And he lied about it, and he lied about many things. And like I said last night, if this is what they think that they can bring and this is what they're going to go after and they think they can get, that's fine. 1001 violation and obstruction. But this is not the only thing that this guy could have been charged with. It's just a matter of how far down the plank did they want to walk, and obviously this is about as far as they wanted to walk,
or how good information they had to be able to charge.
And they probably anything. And this is, listen, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, let's just be honest with ourselves. This is not a slam dunk. I would bet this is no way a slam dunk conviction. You have a Biden judge. Yep. You're going to have a Biden-esque, Democrat-esque jury pool in the Eastern District of Virginia. And what's it going to come down to? Comey versus McCabe? How do you figure that out if you're a jury? Which slimeball do we believe less?
Well, I guess you could go to the contents of the burn bags they hope nobody would ever find and see what those things have to say. Plus, you also have to remember, this one was the one coming up against a statute of limitations. So I know they wanted to get that in before it expired, because I think one of you guys said it earlier, it potentially opens up everything else. Because once they start to go to discovery and they start pulling out all this other stuff, that's where I think he might be like, look, I need to make a deal because they're about to hang me out to dry here.
I want to jump on that because what you just said is where my head is at with this entire thing. When someone is indicted and goes to trial, there's a process called discovery. Discovery is basically give all your emails, all your text messages, all your information. And through discovery, you discover evidence, but you also discover additional evidence where other crimes could be linked. Like the mastermind initially of all of this stuff was President Obama.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of these roads lead back to some bigger names than Comey, but discovery is the key, because within discovery, if you hide or delete or try to game discovery, that's a crime in itself. Mm-hmm. You can't delete text messages. Well, I guess you could use BleachBit. Maybe you can use BleachBit and then a hammer to hammer some devices and get rid of those, right?
I think
that's possible.
I heard that Hilly knows that trick.
Sure. It's totally acceptable. Can you imagine if anything ever happened to any of us and we deleted something or used BleachBit, we'd all be in jail. But what I'm hoping is discovery. Each indictment that comes through might not have all the teeth that it needs to, but during discovery, it's going to open up a lot of other avenues.
Right.
And maybe we'll see a lot of these other crooks get filleted through that. So that's sort of where my head is at. It's like, great. Now they got to answer a lot of questions about a lot of stuff.
And again, I throw the treason thing out there because that's what it was. When you try and overthrow a sitting, a duly elected president and then a sitting president, I don't think that goes away after just a couple of years. You can just kind of walk away from it. And remember, they used the same tactic on General Flynn.
Yeah.
So
they framed him.
Yeah, exactly. So, when you say Comey is, what do you call him, slimy?
Slimy,
yeah,
sleazy, slimy, dirty,
sleazy,
whatever you want to call
scumbaggy.
it.
Yeah, that's him.
He's a snake. He's the ultimate snake, because you remember those meetings when he had with Trump and he walking in as the president, it's good to see you. He's shaking his hand. All this, and the other side of it, he's doing all this sneaky stuff behind the wheels.
Yeah, he's plotting.
Totally.
The two big liars in that first Trump administration were Comey. There were many others, but the top in my list was Comey and Fauci. They lied to President Trump. Fauci lied about everything having to do with COVID to go get what he had to do. Pfizer lied to them too, and Comey, because they pretended they were helping him.
Right.
Total snakes.
Mike Davis tonight on X. Dear lawfare Democrats, you think tonight's indictment of Comey for false statements and obstruction of justice is bad? Just wait for the indictments of many others for conspiracy against rights. 18 U.S.C. 241, TikTok. And, of course, we have John Bolton, as Delgado said, on the burner. We know now there's been classified information found at his home.
Hello.
On the raid. So I believe, if I remember correctly, President Trump had some issues with supposedly classified documents, even though he was the president.
Oh, yeah.
And they had the Presidential Records Act behind him. And what happened there? Did he still get I think they did go after him still, right? Yeah. Yep. So we have Bolton. We've got Fat Willis with the mortgage deal, right? She's got to be
and more
hot on the iron there.
Yeah.
Another
fat
Any other fat people, Damon?
Fat James.
Oh man.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Fat Willis is the prosecutor. Fat James is the one on the mortgage thing.
Letitia.
Yeah. So she's got to be on the thing.
Yeah, a couple of big banks.
And then, like you said, we've Schiff. He's a leaker and a liar.
Schiff needs to be taken.
Yeah, there's many. Many. Conspiracy against rights goes broadly when you look at what they did to President Trump. There are many people who fit the bill.
Yep. Cheryl Merrill has a great line. Salad Dodgers unite.
Yeah, that's Kevin Downey Jr.'s line.
Yeah, that's his line, all right.
Oh, I'm telling you, when he first broke that line, man, how funny was that? That was just, where did he come up with that? Salad Dodgers.
That Ryder Cup, what's going to happen before 7:58 a.m. tomorrow is incredible. The lineup of these guys. This is powerhouse, Big D.
What's the first match go off at? I thought it goes off at 7.
7:10 a.m. Big D.
Yeah.
Hatton and Rahm versus Thomas and DeChambeau. That's a rock and roll. Woof. Man, oh man. That's a tee off of multi-off. Before you even have coffee, man.
It's going to be unbelievable.
That is incredible.
I'll be screaming at the TV by 7:15.
Your favorite golfer tees off at 7:42, Big D. McIlroy and Fleetwood.
That's your favorite? McIlroy?
No.
Oh, no. That's a long-running joke on this show.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's like a 5-year joke on the show. He badmouthed President Trump.
I don't know. Yeah, he's fine.
He's come around, though.
Yeah, he's fine.
He softened it a little bit.
Someone asked him something about America today. He said, well, listen, I still believe America's the greatest country in the world.
How does the U.S. lose this, Big D? Could they lose this?
Absolutely, they
really?
could.
Even with Cantley and Schauffele?
This is the European team is the team. This is, other than one guy, is the same team that whooped us 2 years ago.
Oh, Hovland.
Same exact team.
Victor Hovland, huh?
Now, it's a little harder on the road. I think the road team has lost the last, 4 over the last 8 years.
I think the Long Island, the New York crowd is going to be heavy, big noise. They're not going to be easy.
Listen, Scotty's got to get 4 points. Bryson's got to get 3 or 4 points. If those two can do that,
Big Morikawa
will be in good shape.
Morikawa will be any use? Colin?
Everybody else is a question mark on how many points.
With English. Patrick Cantlay coming in hot. Come on, 78.
Scotty's got to win 4. Bryson's got to win 3 or 4.
Between 7:10 and 7:58, it is epic. What's going to happen?
And Trump will be on the first tee, my understanding is too, remember.
Oh, will he?
Tomorrow.
What a great president, man. He's out there with every sporting event, man.
He's probably already in New York right now getting ready.
It's going to be raucous.
It is going to be.
That was one of the other reasons. I would have had to get there at 3:30 in the morning to get through.
No, you had to leave the show and go right over to Bethpage.
Yeah,
literally.
And you can't walk the course. It's just
if you can't, you're better off.
I'll surprise Stu didn't hook you up. No.
Well, there's not much Stu could do. I could park at his house if I could, maybe, but I didn't even.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He only lives right off the course. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest.
The voice of the Ryder Cup. Couldn't believe when I. 30 minutes past the hour, live from Studio 6B. We'll get to sports here with Slick in a second. I just want to... John Solomon tonight says that he has gotten his hands on more documents and will be releasing them tomorrow morning. Apparently, these new documents reveal new information on two fronts. Number one, well, I think one of you just said this. Scores of FBI agents spoke up about the political bias against a conservative movement after J 6th and were shot down. No shocker there.
Yeah.
Just the News is going to provide a specific number of how many plainclothes FBI agents were in the crowd on January 6th. And according to Solomon, it's an astounding number. And then this tweet says also, bonus info, a grand jury in Richmond is currently considering the evidence against James Comey. Okay, well, now we know what happened there. So he got indicted. So those are the other two things that I guess Mr. Solomon is working on.
You should guess how many FBI agents, because I'm thinking it's in the 40% of that crowd of FBI agents with how that crowd behaved and how that all that was incited.
How many people
maybe 25% of that crowd.
You know how many people were there?
How many?
Like, what, 100,000 or something?
No, not in the Capitol.
No, out in front. Are you talking about inside the Capitol?
That brought them in the Capitol, yeah.
I mean, for me, I don't know what the numbers are, but when he says astounding, an astounding number would be anything over, I don't know, 2,000-3,000.
Oh yeah,
that's an astounding number.
I would say about a couple of hundred, honestly, because
1,000.
You don't need that many FBI agents, you know.
I mean, I have no idea how to judge what that number would be. I can tell you this: none of us will be surprised.
No,
if it's here's what the big number means, though. What was their agenda? To protect. You know, when that many FBI agents are infiltrating a crowd, it's for security purposes. Or when that many FBI agents enter a crowd, it's to incite something with another agenda. And when it's that big, you don't need that many in there to protect. If the number's as big as what he's thinking, what you need is that many if you want to incite. And that's what it says to me. The bigger that number, the more the proof is that they were there to incite problems.
According to the FBI website, they employ 38,000 people total.
Wow.
Okay,
they probably only needed about 100, and then you go with the, what do you call it, the assets.
What's the audience think? Put some numbers in the chat.
You know?
38,000. Think about that number.
Because think about what they use in Michigan for the Whitmer scam. What they have, 16 out of the 18 people that were picked up were FBI.
Really?
Yeah. It was ridiculous. It's like just about everybody except one or two people weren't working for the FBI, whether it be a direct agent or an asset. So when you're talking about FBI agents, that's different than maybe a human asset. That's somebody that they brought along saying, hey, here's what you're going to do.
Right.
Maybe they're totaling up that number. We won't find out. Maybe they'll parse that number and say it was this many agents, this many human assets, this many from this office, this many from that office. We also had from, undercover from D.C. police or, any of the other agencies that could have been involved.
But what it says is intent, and I'd love to know the lineage of the intent. If the FBI deployed this many, who else was in on this discussion? Because it clearly was intent. It wasn't security.
Oh, yeah.
So if there's intent, there has to be a line of command within that. And that's, I can't wait to explore that.
And what's amazing is the guy who was who took over the field office in D.C. was the one who was in charge of the field office in Michigan that was overseeing the scam on Whitmer.
Well, people are all over the map on what the number could be. Some are saying as low as 25. Some are saying 8,000. So everybody's a lot of them are in the low hundreds, 250, 300.
But that's still a large number.
Yeah.
250 FBI agents in a crowd like that? That's unheard of. You don't see that at major events that have thousands of people in stadiums. I would venture to guess how many were at, Charlie Kirk's memorial, for protection purposes. How many were there? And equate that to January 6th. I bet you we would all be shocked by those numbers.
That's a good number if you could find that out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be good to see.
Yeah. All right, 34 past the hour. Let's do some sports. Sports is brought to you by Mike Lindell. LFS6B is the promo code to use. We got a little odds makers to do here because we have a Thursday night NFL game. Seattle at Arizona. Game has started, but it's all right. Still 0-0, 7:59 to go in the first. Seattle's been playing well. They're the favorite, -1.5 on the road. Slick, I'll come to you first. What do you like in this game?
As much as I like to go for Arizona because they are home in Glendale, Arizona at the State Farm Stadium. Great place, right? Great event on Sunday. But I'm going to go with the Seahawks. They're playing too well, and I'm going to take Seattle. I'm going to lay the 1.5 on the road.
Okay, Aaron, -1.5. Seattle's been clearly the better team. What do you got here?
I'm taking Seattle -1.5. I think Seattle's had, the Cardinals basically put down the past 7 times they've matched up. They've won 6 and covered all 6 the spread. So those are pretty good odds to me.
Yeah, and that's all the reasons I would put my house on Arizona tonight, because it looks way too easy to take.
And they're driving right now.
Seattle looks so good, and Arizona looks like they stink. I mean, absolutely stink.
Well, Arizona also lost their lead rusher to injury. He's out for the year. So.
Yeah, and how are they only 1.5? So no, I can't fall for that.
They still got McBride at tight end.
I'm on Arizona plus the 1.5.
Yeah, here, and they're driving Big D. They're inside the red zone right now. Okay. So you're in the second quarter, 7:26 to go, and we'll see. But
all right,
Big D, you've always been against.
All right, let's do some other sports. Look, take it away.
Well, we got 4 games left in the Major League Baseball season. For those who love to follow baseball, a lot of teams have clinched, but we still have a few wild card spots left.
I was looking at the schedules of the remaining teams. The Mets definitely have the easiest schedule to make it to the wild card, right?
The Reds have to play Milwaukee, who's a very good team. Yes, I know. It's going to be tough. You're no question, Big D. But the Reds have won today. They already won 2-1 earlier today, so that was a big win for Cincinnati over the Pirates. And we got the Marlins and Phillies. Phillies lead that game 1-0. Doesn't really matter. But Tigers and Guardians is a big game. They're both vying for that last wild card spot. Top of the 8th, Tigers leading 4-1 in Cleveland. Yankees, they're already in. They're losing 3-1, but they're in anyway. And we got the Mets are up 3-0 in Wrigley over the Chicago Cubs. Mets really hold their own destiny, really. They're at the point now. They're a half game in. They need the win tonight to keep the Reds at bay. Arizona lost last night, so they're 1.5 games back. Yeah. And they lost today. They lost to the Dodgers.
The Mets are streaky.
8-0.
The Mets could be one of those teams that just gets hot in the playoffs.
They could
run.
No question about it. So we will obviously keep an eye on that, Big D. Mets game in Wrigley, a big one, but right now they're leading that game. So they're up 3-0 now. They just went up 3-0 in the top of the 4th. Frank the Tank is obviously desperately awaiting to see who's going to win that one.
Hold it on, Slick, for 1 second. Tony Ferrigno on Facebook says Solomon already mentioned today 85 to Grant Stinchfield. 85 agents.
No.
Wow.
So that's what he says. I didn't see it. Number. That doesn't seem like an overwhelming number to me for to cover that amount of ground and that amount of people. But
well, again, you're talking about agents. You're not talking about assets, human assets, all the, and those are FBI. You don't know if HHS had agents there. You don't know if, what do we have? 17, 18 intel agencies they could pick from? Yeah. You don't know.
All right. Sports continue.
All right. Well, let's get to Bethpage Black, Big D. Bryson DeChambeau says Trump can inspire us to victory at Bethpage Black Ryder Cup. Ryan Morick of Fox News reporting earlier today. President Donald Trump will attend the first day of the Ryder Cup this weekend at Bethpage Black, and it has members of Team USA excited. Both Scotty Scheffler and Keegan Bradley raved about his attendance at the People's Country Club, and his YouTube co-star Bryson DeChambeau is also excited. The 2-time U.S. Open champion even believes Trump could add some motivation to the team representing the Stars and Stripes. I hope he will inspire us to victory. I think he'll be a great force for us to get a lot of people on our side. DeChambeau told reporters Thursday, I think it will be interesting and exciting to see how the crowd and everybody reacts. It's going to be an electric environment, right, Big D? What do you think? It's going to be wild tomorrow morning, right before coffee at 7:10 when the president jumps on the course?
Colin Morikawa said so far that the New York audience has been fairly tame, in his opinion. He says he wants Friday morning to be chaos. So we'll see if Long Island shows up and acknowledges that.
Send some FBI agents. That might make it a little chaotic.
Yep. And a few years ago, I almost lost my job because sports was becoming very irrelevant amongst the Republican and Conservative Party. But guess what? The Ryder Cup will be the 3rd sporting event this month Trump will have attended, all of which have been in the New York metro area. So thank God for a president that loves sports. Kind of saved my career. Trump was in attendance for the men's U.S. Open final on September 7th and attended a New York Yankees game against the Detroit Tigers 4 days later, the 24th anniversary of September 11th, of course. DeChambeau had Trump featured in one of his Breaking 50 videos last year, shortly before the first assassination attempt on Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. Trump returned the favor by inviting him on stage during his victory speech last November. Remember that? That was cool. Any side of public political leanings in athletes could lean to a loss or gain of fans, but when asked by Fox News Digital last year if DeChambeau had any regrets over making the video with Trump, DeChambeau quite not at all. There's always risk associated to that, but from my perspective, it was focused on entertainment. DeChambeau said to Fox News Digital at Maradona Golf Club, the site of last year's Live Golf Team Championship outside of Dallas. We can talk about politics. That's a whole different conversation, something that I was not trying to do on my YouTube channel. It was solely on providing great entertainment. That it did. The video has more than 16 million views on YouTube, making it by far his most popular video.
Wow.
And Bradley, Team USA's captain, said Trump will be the first tee, which is at 7:10 a.m. tomorrow, Big D. Can't wait for that. That's what happens, sports, Big D.
Absolute
Tremendous.
madness it should
Can't
be.
wait.
So we'll see. All right, Slick, very good. Sports brought to you by Mike Lindell. LFS6B is the promo code to use. Let's get back into the headlines. And we covered the Comey thing. I don't know if you have any more, Rick Delgado, but Delgado's got the headlines. What else is going on?
Well, still a lot of stuff coming out regarding the Comey thing, the Comey situation. This just in, as Senator Richard Blumenthal sends a warning to Republicans after James Comey is indicted, warning that they could do the same to the conservatives. What comes around goes around, he said, with a straight face.
Hello.
On MSNBC.
That's the idea, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then there was this from California Representative Eric Swalwell, threatening prosecutors if they bring an indictment against James Comey. Here it is, cut number 6. Just so we know, the process is the punishment. Cut 6. Check it out.
This is a very, very corrupt, corrosive act that the president is taking. And what I would just say to any prosecutor at the Department of Justice is it's not going away. As a member of the Judiciary Committee, I promise you, when Democrats are in the majority, we are going to look at all of this. And there will be accountability. And bar licenses will be at stake in your local jurisdiction if you are corruptly indicting people where you cannot prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Wow.
Oh, really? That's the standard, huh? Okay.
I wonder if he's talked to Mr. Rudolph Giuliani about his law license.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Tough
that
guy.
ever come up. Yeah, so of course, Democrats are freaking out up and down the aisle. Democrats freaking out up and down the aisle. And here is President Trump when he was asked by our own Brian Glenn about the Comey indictment. Here it is, cut number 4 from earlier today in the White House. Cut 4, Brian Glenn with President Trump. Check it out.
It seems like an indictment of James Comey is imminent. Would this be the first step in accountability for pushing the hoax of Russia, along with Barack Obama involved as well?
Well, I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't know. You have very professional people headed up by the Attorney General and Todd Blanche and Lindsay Halligan, who's very smart, good lawyer, very good lawyer. They're going to make a determination. I'm not making that determination. I think I'd be allowed to get involved if I want, but I don't really choose to do so. I can only say that Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI.
I love that.
And but I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. Thank you very much, everybody.
So there it is, the president with his assessment of James Comey.
Sick.
President put out a truth about it. We'll show you that. Plus, we'll show you what the Attorney General put out and what the FBI Director put out. All when we get back live from Studio 6B. We're back right after this.
Kayla Vaccaro says, Slawwell, tell us about, just your comment there, Damon Fang, it's Wing Fang or something, right? About all the secrets she took back to China.
Yeah. Like we're going to listen to that guy. Please.
He's just as sleazy as they get. They just have so many sleazeballs on the left in Congress and in the House. And he's on like a powerful committee too. Like this guy should not be anywhere with the association he had with a Chinese spy. It's unheard of that he has this level of authority, or at least participation. Ricky Cope says the Democrats are all crapping in their pants now.
Laura B says, okay, guys, it's commercial break, so it's time to ignore the 1.2 thousand people watching you on X. Don't mention us. We're okay. We're okay. Okay.
Oh, X. Love X, by the way.
Very good.
Are you on X right now?
I'm on everything, but it goes too fast for me to...
I mean, they said they're okay, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Right?
They sound fine. They don't sound...
We do our best to keep up with, I mean, like 5 or 6
When do we get a dancing
sites.
Damon emoji? I don't know.
Make that happen.
Do I have to participate in making that? No, you should be able to do that through AI or something, I'm sure, right?
Just use AI.
I mean, come on.
Kathy Turner says she loves Trump. Yep, we do too. Excellent.
I've got a Rapture update.
You do?
Yeah.
Did it happen?
I have a reason why it may not have happened yet.
Okay.
I got a couple.
All right. You're on it.
Wow, Seattle just scored a touchdown.
Karen Schweitzer, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. Debbie Allen says there were 4,000 FBI agents. So we're guessing at numbers, but I tend to think it's going to be up in the thousands.
I don't know if it's going to be in 1,000. That sounds too much to me.
I'd be happy with a couple of hundred because it'll say the same thing to me, whether it's a few hundred or a few thousand, that they had intent to manipulate the crowd, which is what they did.
In the chat, Commander Mike, college grad failure, racing banshee.
John D 6307 says, we're okay on Rumble too, Big D, just saying.
I'm always in the Rumble.
Uh-oh. Yeah, Delgado's in the Rumble.
I'm always in the Rumble, and I usually hang out on Twix as well.
X is not feeling love. We got to get into
We try to
X.
get all over the place.
Vaca.
Let's just all go out to dinner so everybody's happy, okay? Where should we go? Slick's paying.
Hey.
Let's go, baby.
How about you get
George Martin Steakhouse in Oakdale.
Get that steak truck. Where's the steak truck?
That's George.
Live from Studio 6B on a Thursday night. Let's get to a couple tweets that were put out. Let's start with the Attorney General, Aaron. If you have Pam Bondi's tweet, let's put that up, and then we'll go through a couple of them here. No one is above the law. Today's indictment reflects this Department of Justice's commitment to holding those who abuse positions of power accountable for misleading the American people. We will follow the facts in this case. That from the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. And, that's truthful, but it's not really to the point. The point is that this guy had extreme power in this position and abused it to a level that we've maybe never seen in this country, and maybe to a degree that the FBI as a whole will be hard to ever recover from the damage this guy has done.
True.
That's more to the point. How bad and just corrupt this guy was, given the power that he had, which was enormous.
It was enormous power, but enormous enablement as well. You only get power by enablement. So the enabling by the President of the United States at that time, Barack Obama, and the President of the United States in Joe Biden, and so on and so forth. You only get that by enablement. So there's you become corrupt when people go the other way or allow it.
Obama was fired before Biden.
Yeah, Obama.
Thankfully.
Thank you. Yeah. Well,
remember the outrage when he fired him too?
Yeah.
I mean, has there ever been a more appropriate fire ever in the history of the world than that guy from that position?
Yeah. Oof. And the only bad part about it was that it took longer than January 22nd.
Exactly.
It should have been right on that first day. He should have been out. And they should have been investigating everything that he was doing.
But the point on enablement with Biden is Biden's administration enabled nothing to happen to him and nothing to happen to anyone, in the FBI.
Well, it made it worse. The Durham investigation, all that nonsense.
They covered that up in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, Mueller. Both of it, actually.
Yeah.
But Mueller more is what I meant. FBI Director Kash Patel today Today, your FBI took another step in its promise of full accountability. For far too long, previous corrupt leadership and their enablers weaponized federal law enforcement, damaging once proud institutions and severely eroding public trust. Every day, we continue the fight to earn that trust back, and under my leadership, this FBI will confront the problem head on. Nowhere was this politicization of law enforcement more blatant than during the Russiagate hoax, a disgraceful chapter in the history we continue to investigate and expose. Everyone, especially those in positions of power, will be held to account no matter their perch. No one is above the law. That out from FBI Director Kash Patel tonight.
That I like to hear.
And finally, out from the President of the United States tonight, justice in America. One of the worst human beings this country has ever been exposed to is James Comey, the former corrupt head of the FBI. Today, he was indicted by a grand jury on 2 felony counts for various illegal and unlawful acts. He has been so bad for our country for so long and is now at the beginning of being held responsible for his crimes against our nation. Make America great again.
Yeah, let me say something on this thing with Comey. Comey's no different than those snipers that we have seen. The sniper out there trying to shoot ICE agents, the sniper that shot Charlie Kirk, the sniper that went after Donald Trump. They're no different because Comey was working as a result of all of this evil and fake information being incited to take down a president. These snipers acted on the same information and lies that the left have been telling and acted out on that. There's not a huge difference. He didn't use a gun. He used his power to take down and demoralize an entire administration and do everything you could that was illegal. He just didn't use a gun. Others used a gun, but off of the same sort of hyperboles and the same sort of, intimidation of information.
Here is the former FBI director tonight. I believe this just came out a little while ago.
He looks
Here he
good.
is.
Can't wait.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either.
No.
Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
Yeah.
And keep the faith.
Bring it. Bring it on.
So there you go. Another hostage video from the former FBI director in his initial plea to try to poison the jury pool.
Yes.
In Eastern Virginia, because that's exactly who he's playing to. He's playing to every Democrat on the East Coast.
What an egomaniac.
Which is why that's out so quickly.
And what's so funny is that before I came to the show tonight, I was watching another network that had a couple former FBI agents talking about James Comey, who was so in love with his own personal persona, his public persona, that he was always checking, how did I come out? How did I look? How did I do this? Did this look? He was always so concerned with how he came across in the media, because that's what he was driven by. Yeah. It's amazing, and you see it right now. He's like, "Oh,
what an ego!"
America, we have to stand together." And Damon, it's a hostage video. That's exactly it.
It's narcissism.
And I'm sure the female that he's referencing is his own daughter, who got canned last week because they knew they were about to indict him. They can't have her working in the same justice system that he's involved with.
And his son-in-law said, "I'm out of here tonight as well."
Good.
He should be. They should all run. They didn't think for one second that Donald Trump would ever win the presidency again.
No, they did not.
And they never thought, not only did they think the Democrats are going to win, but if a Republican won, it was going to be a swamp creature Republican. So they never feared any of this retribution.
Nope.
If you think about where their heads were at during all of this stuff, they were just like, there's not a chance Trump survives any of this stuff and can run. So they weren't fearful. They did everything that they wanted to do.
They had the snipers, they had the attempts, they had the lawfare, they had everything, and they even tried to control. They even tried to control, the way we voted, and he blew all that away. He just blew it all away.
They were so unprepared. But my point is, this is why they acted so callously, because they did. All the things they did were so over the top. Not only illegal and corrupt and everything else you can say, it was just over the top corruption at a level we've never seen. And part of the reason is they never thought for a second that Trump would ever come back and be in power, let alone anybody that would take him to task. I mean, the only person capable of taking him to task is President Trump, by the way.
And to find those burn bags, they all probably had to put on adult diapers after they found that out. It's like, wait, that wasn't taken care of?
Another box of Depends, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, to see the response from the Democrats is going to be comical today as they talk about Trump weaponizing. Oh boy! I mean, it's comedy gold what we're going to see over the next 24 hours from the party that did everything and wanted this man in jail for the rest of his life, wanted his kids in jail for the rest of his life, wanted him destitute for the rest of his life, did everything they could to achieve those ends. And now tonight you watch what you're going to hear from them about President Trump weaponizing the government against his political enemies. That is going to be rich, rich, rich. All right, that's a wrap. Quick hour one, hour two, coming back live from Studio 6B. Big Dick Blumenthal, he's already on CNN. He's already got some ideas. I'll tell you what they are when we get back. Plus Vinnie Mac's News coming up.
He's still... Emmett Smith back there.
I flew to see him go in the Hall of Fame. Emmett Smith doing a commercial for Depends. Oh, he's top 10. I mean, not top. He's definitely top 10.
He's great back.
I don't know about top 5. I mean, I think, for your money, Barry Sanders is probably the greatest ever. A lot of people feel that way in terms of how great he played with a lousy team and really no line. Jim Brown is up there. I mean, I love him or hate him. O.J. Simpson's up there, too. Oof.
Well, didn't Tony win more?
They both know Tony Dorsett won only one Super Bowl. He won Super Bowl 12.
I thought he won more.
Nope, just the one. He was the rookie season in New Orleans. He won that game 27-10. They never won a Super Bowl again in his career. Emmett Smith won 3 Super Bowls. So, yeah, Emmett's definitely
Wayne Camp, you're right. Winner. Comey deserves to be indicted. He's trying to manipulate opinions.
They probably should have.
I would put Emmitt Smith ahead of him, Big D. Emmitt Smith's the all-time leading rusher. He won 3 Super Bowls. Yes, I would put Emmitt ahead of Dorsett, but Dorsett was unbelievable. One of the best outside runners of all time. Has the all-time record, right? 99.5 yards for the longest run in NFL history. Monday Night Football. What was that? 1983. Wow.
I think therapists and psychologists should use that Comey video to show this is what a narcissist
I've heard
is.
You say it before.
Maybe. I was like, that's good, Delgado. Wow.
You're filling my head with all your useless Dallas knowledge.
Stuff. Oh, Micah Parson coming to town. What could possibly go wrong Sunday night? It's like national news. They're not going to have like a tribute video to him. Why? I mean, the guy really played a couple of years there. They're going to have a tribute video? He's not Bob Lilly. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's Bob Lilly? He was a gardener. Cuckoo. I met Bob Lilly, actually. What a great guy.
Yeah, sure.
Great guy.
I met Lily Munster, too. Very nice.
Oh, who's going into the tent now?
I did not know that. Gail Sayers.
Gail Sayers.
Kirk Fournier is saying Gail Sayers.
Gail Sayers was
great. He blew out his knee twice, and he still was a great back.
Gail Sayers could definitely be top 10. I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
There you go. Okay.
He was fantastic.
You would know that.
Slick agrees with you, Kirk.
Gail Sayers, Brian's song. What a great movie, right? Brian Piccolo.
That was just on TV, too. God. Billy D. Williams. I
cried as a kid. I cried.
Well, like as an adult watching it, it's hard to contain yourself.
That story was epic. That's one of the, you know what? That's arguably one of the best sports movies ever.
Hour 2, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. Real America's Voice, live from Studio 6B. Glad you're in on a Thursday night. Slick Rick sitting right there. He's going to do some more sports headlines. Rick Delgado's got some more news headlines. Vinnie Mac's got some thoughts on news as well. Aaron and Fran holding it down as always. Glad you're in, everybody, on a Thursday, whether you're watching on Real America's Voice, if you're on social media, YouTube, Rumble, X, Truth, wherever you're watching, Facebook. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, hit the thumbs up, get engaged, comment, join us in the chat. We love to talk to the people in the chat on all platforms. And, of course, we stay live during the breaks on all platforms. So you can chat with us and kind of see what's going on. Like I said, lots to get to. Obviously, the night is focused on James Comey indictment, and as it should be, and there's more to get to. Now, the text of the Comey indictment has been released. I'll just give you the two counts, how they read. Count 1, on or about September 30th, 2020, James B. Comey Jr. did willfully and knowingly make a material false, fictitious, and fraudulent statement in a matter within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch of the government of the United States by falsely stating to a U.S. senator during a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing that he, James B. Comey Jr., had not authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports, quote unquote, regarding an FBI investigation concerning person 1. Count 2, on or about September 30th, 2020, in the Eastern District of Virginia, the defendant, James B. Comey Jr., did corruptly endeavor to influence, obstruct, and impede the due and proper exercise of the power of the inquiry under which an investigation was being had before the Senate Judiciary Committee by making false and misleading statements before that committee. So that's the actual count 1, count 2 reading of the indictment. Now the report is that Comey is going to turn himself in tomorrow morning. So those of you looking for your mugshot, I guess you'll get it officially tomorrow morning at some point.
Wow.
And then I would assume he would be released. And then we'll head down the road here of building a trial and see how this ends up. Again, Eastern District of Virginia. You would suspect that's a very favorable district for him. The judge, you would think it would be a very favorable judge for him, a Biden appointee judge. But you never know. So now the Democrats, as we said before we went to break, are going to be laughable in their screaming about weaponizing of government, given what we've seen the last 10 years against the current and sitting president of the United States. But trust me, that won't slow them down from doing it. They're already doing it. Dick Blumenthal's out. He's got some thoughts. He's already run to CNN, of course, because that's where you run when you want to vomit from your mouth a bunch of BS that none of us are going to listen to, but to talk to their side. Here's Dick's thoughts on what he wants to do.
Congressman from California in the House Judiciary Committee. And he was saying, that Congress needs to stand up. And I want to ask you in this context, what can you do right now as a Democratic senator about this?
I can add. Now, just think about the question, by the way. Here you have an indictment brought by a jury with 2 serious counts of obstruction of justice and a 1001 violation. And the news anchor, whose job is it supposed to elicit information on, says to the sitting U.S. senator, what can you do about this? Come on, you got to defend our guy here.
Exactly.
Yep.
questions of the Department of Justice, which we will do. We can support colleagues and others on the Republican side who may be inclined, I hope they will be, to draw a line here and protest. Obviously, I have no role in court. I was a prosecutor for 4.5 years as U.S. Attorney in Connecticut. I also was Attorney General for 20 years.
Hey, how about this? How about you sat on the committee, Dick? So when Comey said blatantly to Senator Cruz and to Chuck Grassley back in 2017, which you were around for then, I believe still then, when you listen to him say blanket no other word, just no and no to those two questions, you're sitting on the committee there, I believe, on the Judiciary Committee. Knowing what we know now, do you think he was lying? How about that question? Hey, what are you going to do to defend our guy? What are we going to do here? We got to talk to somebody. Come on, Dick, what are we going to do?
The most consequential decisions I made were whether to charge someone, because nobody ever fully recovers from those charges. A lot of people believe that an acquittal just means there was some technical issue. So I think it's important to encourage the private bar to step up. Donald Trump made deals with a number of the major law firms in the country. They ought to rip them apart and say enough is enough. I would encourage attorneys in the Department of Justice to stand up for their conviction and conscience, as Eric Siebert did. He's the U.S. attorney who resigned rather than bring those charges. And as a member of the United States Senate, I'm going to go to the floor of the Senate. I'm going to go to committee meetings. I'm going to speak privately. I'm going to protest. And I am going to seek legislation we're formulating right now that may well prevent some of this perversion of justice. We are writing legislation that will give remedies and rights to people who are victims of malicious prosecution. We have to provide safeguards because we've clearly seen how the ordinary norms are defied by this autocratic president. We're on the way to tyranny if we permit it to go forward.
Oh, yeah. Tyranny's on the mind, boy. Oh, we're very concerned.
Yeah.
Let's see. What can I say about the Constitution? I love the Constitution.
Let me bring in a first
tyranny.
Let me wrap myself in all the buzzwords that we care about now, don't you know?
Let me make sure I don't say no one is above the law, because they're using that one now.
You think if Dick was sitting with Aaron here about 4 or 5 years ago, and she said, well, you know, when I look at this indictment brought by Letitia James, it really looks like copy paste 37 times here, Dick. Do you think you should maybe get some legislation to help prosecutions like this that just seem kind of you think he would have had the same answer then? Oh, I don't think so. I'm gonna go get legislation, don't you know?
I'm going to go down on the floor, and I'm going to speak, and I'm going to write some tersely worded letters. It's going to be great.
That was all buzzwords. It's like he had a cheat sheet. It's like, I'm going to look at the preamble and the postamble. I'm going to look at every amble. I don't know how many ambles we got, but I'm going to look at those ambles. I mean, what an absolute... This is why I went on that little rant last time I was on about the midterms. Like, when they talk like this, and if they're in power, we're going to see hysterical nonsense coming out. In the form of, I mean, geez, I hope not, legislation, you know? That could be absolutely horrific. To me, it all comes down to the result we have to look at as MAGA and as Republicans and as conservatives is make sure those midterms we win huge, because this is what we're up against, these liars.
Yeah. All right, Vinnie Mac, what else has caught your attention in the news?
I have I have a medical story, but before I mention that story, it ties into all the stuff we're talking about, and one of our loyal viewer, Bill B., I'll call his name. He may not want me to use his name on air. He sent me this note, and it's exactly what I've been thinking, which is my fear is that the radical left pulls out all stops and creates chaos that neutralizes law and order, which is such a true statement, because they are so desperate, and we're seeing that with ICE. We're seeing that with all the things that are starting to brew up with their protests and everything else. That's their way to fight this. They did it with Black Lives Matter. They did it with those George Floyd and all that other nonsense. They're gonna create chaos in the streets to offset what we're trying to remedy. It's one of my biggest issues. I look at Newsom, who has blood on his hands, by the way, with that sniper in Texas. big time blood on his hands. But the story I want to get to is this just shocked me. There was an interview by some very top medical professionals and others that have talked to both the Senate and have talked in other interviews about vaccines. And I want to talk about vaccines because I know autism's been in the news, RFK with the Tylenol thing and so on. But one thing that hasn't really been talked about is the incentives for pediatricians to get their patients to take vaccines. I have seen a ridiculous number of how much money they make because the HMOs buy and sell vaccines. I don't know if any of you know that. The pharmaceutical companies make the vaccines. The HMOs buy and sell it. Within there's a huge profit margin. The pediatricians have a quota or a percentage they have to get to. When they hit that, they make about $200 a vaccine. Yep. The pediatricians. And they can make up to or over $1 million prescribing these things. Now, I have to say, of all the things I've heard in the medical community and all the corruption, I did not realize the numbers were that astonishing. And then you look at the trouble we're having with vaccines. I know Damon's talked about it a lot. I saw an interview with Jenny McCarthy. She has an autistic child. And she tells a really great story about her pediatrician telling her she had to give her kid all these vaccines when it was born, and she didn't want to. She had like a gut instinct, a motherly gut instinct, and didn't want to do it. And she said, this guy literally pressured me into doing it, and I caved and did it, and my kid's autistic. And now, maybe it had everything to do with it. Maybe it had nothing to do with it, but it sure as hell smells like it had some relation to it. But what I never realized, and why this story really jumped out at me, is all the things RFK's doing, all the things he's trying to do within vaccines and health and autism and so on and so forth. I knew there was a big money trail. I just thought that money trail was with the pharmaceutical companies. I did not know that landed with the pediatricians and the HMOs. So I thought it was a pretty interesting story to talk about and something that we all should be aware of. Like I don't know about you, if you go to a doctor, and he says, Damon, you got high cholesterol. You need to take this. What are you going to do? Argue with the guy?
No.
I mean, are you going to debate this? Are you going to say, well, I've heard about this drug and I've heard about that drug? Your doctor tells you what's wrong with you. You're generally going to say, well, they told me I got to go and take this antibiotic. I got to go do this thing. I need the vaccine. Yep. These are people of authority. Yep. It's like
I did do that with the pediatricians.
You fought back.
Yeah, I had to.
Very few people.
Very few. You're right.
And the intimidation.
9 out of 10 don't.
I had read David Kirby's fine book, Evidence of Harm, back in 1990. Probably 1990s, and it was all about the link even back then about thimerosal, mercury in these vaccines, and the link between that and autism. So I had read that back then. I had listened to, of course, I was a pretty regular listener of Imus and his wife Deidre and the Hackensack Medical Hospital push on not only thimerosal and vaccines, but cleaning products and all of that stuff and how it factored in. I was on top of all that. So when my son was born in 2007, I was pretty well armed to go take on any physician at the time, and I went through about 5 of them.
Wow. Were you aware they were making so much money on the vaccines? Right.
I mean, I didn't think about it in that. I mean, I guess if I stopped and thought about it, but I never thought about it in that context.
I never thought.
I was just arguing for there's no way and I think at that time it wasn't even, I don't know what the number is now. There was no way there was 28 shots going in either one of in my son's arm at that time. And certainly we weren't going to do multiple in one day. No. And I don't care what you tell me.
But if you knew he was incentivized with all this money, you would want to challenge it even stronger.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, 13 past the hour, live from Studio 6B. We'll do some more sports, more headline news. We'll continue to check if there's any other news on the Comey situation. Again, we believe he's going to surrender tomorrow morning.
Ooh, goody.
Morning raid.
That should be fun.
Wow.
All right, live from Studio 6B.
Before or after tea time?
Right after this.
Receiver and it was a pick. He should have caught it, but he bobbled it and Seattle grabbed it.
I want to stay on this for a second. Dana Williams on Facebook says, her doctor said no. He doesn't like it, but that's his personal. So she had a doctor that actually talked about it. But another view of ours said that she was pressured big time by her pediatrician to force through these vaccines. That's my point. Why are they pressuring to that level?
I was pressured, but they tried to pressure us too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one thing to pressure because your health's at stake. It's another thing to pressure because that's going to put another 50, 60 grand in my pocket. You know, that's what really at the end of the day, it's wrong on both ends. But with that financial incentive, like, people will do dumb things like these pediatricians. I hate to say it. You can't trust them.
Doc tried to pressure me too. I looked down at him. I said, "Hey, Doc, you want to keep that stethoscope around your neck? Then the conversation's over."
Yeah, good. Big D threatening the pediatrician. We like that.
Hey, Vin, Islanders have come back.
God.
It's 4-3.
Oh, yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Preseason, 6:50 to go.
Oh. Okay.
YouTube's.
Where is that? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Tony Ferrigno. You remember the Sacklers, with the Oxycontin? Did you guys see that documentary and the movie of them?
Oh, got it right here. Okay.
Yeah, so Tony, I saw the movie or the doc on that, which I think Michael Keaton was in the movie. And everybody got addicted and they lied. And yeah, I hear you, man. That was a sick case that proves my point. I wonder if we're going to get a beautiful publicity shot at Comey's mugshot like they did with Trump.
I would hope so.
I think that should be, something we should frame and put on the wall here at Live from Studio 6B.
Is he turning himself in, or is they going to go grab him?
He's turning himself
in, yeah.
Oh, it'd be so much more fun.
It would have been more morning raid,
They
right?
should say, you know what?
6 a.m.
I know you were going to turn yourself in, but screw that. Yeah. We're just going to wake you up at 2:30, put on some pants,
get his long
time to go.
Put on a suit.
Put on a suit. Yeah, exactly.
Sound like the blues. 17 past the hour. Live from Studio 6B on a Thursday. Let me talk to you about our friends over at Old Glory Bank. Did you see President Trump call out the big banks for refusing to bank certain Americans? Well, we sure did. We've all lived it here on this show. Vinnie Mac, me, everybody. Paul, don't reward those big banks. Move your money to Old Glory Bank. I can't encourage you enough to do this, as I did with my son. His account is at Old Glory Bank. Old Glory Bank serves customers in all 50 states with the best online banking for both consumers and businesses. Everything you can do at the big woke banks, you can do better at Old Glory Bank. Old Glory Bank has always been pro-freedom, pro-Second Amendment, and pro-crypto. Visit oldglorybank.com/RAV today. Oldglorybank.com/RAV today and join the right side of banking. And I would bet you could scan that code right there, and that'll probably take you right to it. Oldglorybank.com/RAV and sign up with Old Glory Bank. And I can't encourage you enough to do this because I know I've talked to Mike Ring, and he seems fantastic. And boy, that boy gets fired up about the issues when he goes out there. Especially about the debanking of Americans and conservatives specifically. As, like I said, Vin has lived through, we've lived through. So go to oldglorybank.com/RAV, oldglorybank.com/RAV, and join the right side of banking with our friends at Old Glory Bank. All right, 18 past the hour, live from Studio 6B. Let's do some sports. 18 past the hour. Sports is brought to you by Mike Lindell. LFS6B is the promo code to use if you want to shop at MyPillow. It'll give you a great savings if you use our code at checkout. Sometimes up to 50, 60% off whatever you put in your cart. If you want sheets or pillows or towels or, all the stuff I got from my son for college, he just loves. The bed, he said, is so comfortable. And college beds and mattresses, as you can imagine, are not that comfortable.
It's
he says the mattress topper and the other thing we got are just So that's great. So, Slick, what's going on?
All right, let's get an update on Thursday Night Football. Big D, State Farm Stadium, Glendale, Arizona. Big game tonight. Seattle continues to lead 7-3, a low-scoring defensive struggle. Actually, both quarterbacks. Sam Darnold, 5 of 6 for only 78 yards. He does have a touchdown pass. And Kyler Murray, only 64 yards passing, 10 of 16 with an interception. So 7-3, about 5:35 to go in the first half. We'll keep you updated on that. Thursday Night Football. I'll get to some baseball scores a little bit later, but wanted to get to this story. The Democrats are so bad, CNN is comparing them to the New Orleans Saints. Now, we know the Saints are having a horrible year if you watch any football. And this is Warner Todd Houston of Breitbart. The Democrats are faring so poorly in recent polling that CNN political analysts are comparing them to the New Orleans Saints. So far, the Saints have lost all 3 of their games this season, and the team seems to be in total disarray. The team's preseason was only marginally better with 2 losses and a tie. And their next game is against the Buffalo Bills, so we know what's going to happen there, right? Which has the opposite record, having won all 3 of their games to date. It looks like the Saints are facing trouble before even setting foot on the field on Sunday. So with the Democrat Party being so low in the polls, lacking leadership and groaning under one unforced error after another, CNN has stepped in to note that the Democrats are the Saints of politics. On Wednesday, CNN numbers analyst, our friend there, Harry Enton, used the Saints as a negative description for the Democrats. He told the cable audience which party the polls indicate is most trusted on the issues. And as it turns out, the GOP is most trusted on nearly everything. I think we were in that the other night, the clips, right? Enton pointed out that Democrats are running around all elated for the 2025 midterms because Donald Trump is not exactly the most popular president in the history. But Enton says that does not matter. At this particular point, the Democrats are the New Orleans Saints of political parties. He said, as he pointed out, the GOP is most favored on the economy, +7, immigration, +13, and crime, a whopping 22 points. That is a blow to the heart of any Saints fan, not to mention the Democrats. I'd be a little annoyed if I was a Saints fan being compared to the Democrats, but that is what it is. I thought that was a great little piece there. But we love Harry Enton. Of course, he's doing a great job there over at CNN. I don't know how much longer he's going to have his job. We don't know. And one more quick one, Big D. Charlie Kirk's former chief of staff fires back at Mets announcer over remarks about player attending the memorial. I reported on this story actually the last 2 nights. Ryan Gatos of Fox News. Mikey McCoy, who, by the way, did a phenomenal speech on Sunday. I loved his speech. Charlie Kirk's former chief of staff slammed New York Mets announcer Gary Cohen over critical remarks the broadcaster made about the Chicago Cubs rookie Matt Shaw attending the Conservative Influences Memorial Service. McCoy on Thursday posted a video of Kirk walking onto Wrigley Field back in August. He wrote that it was a dream come true for Kirk, who was a big fan of the Cubbies, but as Cohen called Shaw's absence from Chicago's lineup weird, he thought about a ton of backlash. A little over a month ago, Charlie's dream came true. He got the opportunity to walk on Wrigley Field and after see his friend Matt Shaw.
Cohen's a creep.
Absolute creep.
Just a creep.
And so just, obviously.
I was reminded, Slick, I'm sorry to cut your story off, but I saw this today. I was just thinking, Gary Cohen, and there's nobody who loves dogs more than I do. But Gary Cohen took like 2 games off from announcing when his dog unfortunately passed away, which, by the way, is fine with me.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
That pain is like no other.
Right.
But if you're going to do that, and now you have a player who's saying, this was one of my best friends whose wife invited me.
Right, good point.
To go on the air and make it somehow that's strange. Gary Cohen didn't think it was strange back when George Floyd died, when both the Mets and whoever they played that night all came out of the dugout and took a knee on the field and then forfeited the game. I'll bet people don't even remember that.
I know. I forgot about that.
Gary Cohen had no problem with it. Not a word, not an article, not a nothing.
Disgraceful.
But here you have, it's so beyond words to describe how insensitive and gross it is for Gary Cohen to make it like the playoff run is more important somehow.
They already clinched the spot.
It's not even that,
It was a joke.
Like, are you kidding me?
That's how foggy their brains get with this Trump derangement syndrome. And they had that with Charlie, too. This derangement makes them do the dumbest stuff and the most hypocritical stuff.
Yep.
Shame on Gary Cohen.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to be rooting for the Cubs. If the Reds don't get in and they're still on the cusp of it, I'm going to be rooting for the Cubs.
one
for
reason to
Charlie
root for 'em.
and for Matt Shaw. That's going to be my team. I'm going to ride that horse. Sorry, Rick. I know you love the Yankees, but I'm going to root for the Cubbies, which they could use a World Series. Chicago needs some good news. That's a wrap in sports.
Well,
Big
Gary
Vito.
Cohen's the voice of the Mets, right?
Yeah, I know that. But I'm going to be rooting for the Cubs.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see. I'm no offense to Rick because he's a Yankee fan. But
I mean, if
the
the Mets with a $400 million payroll and they picked up one of the great players in at least the last 5-10 years of baseball in Soto, don't make the playoffs. It's the greatest single collapse in maybe baseball history if they don't make the playoffs, this team.
It's the greatest tank, Frank.
It's embarrassing, and he's embarrassing, by the way.
And Frank's tanking.
Same with the Detroit Tigers, by the way, who held a 15-game lead about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and now they're in second place.
They may not even get in.
They may not. They may not get in.
Yep.
They were the best team in baseball for most of the season.
Right.
A couple other rich, very rich things on the Comey thing tonight. Remember when Martha Stewart went to jail?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Insider
Martha
trading.
Stewart went to jail on a 1001 violation. Exactly the same charge that Comey's charged with tonight. Well, the internet lives forever. When Martha Stewart went to jail, guess who put this statement out? The Stewart experience reminded me that the justice system is an honor system. We really can't always tell when people are lying or hiding documents, so when we are able to prove it, we simply must do so as a message to everyone. There was once a time when most people worried about going to hell if they violated an oath taken in the name of God. That divine deterrence has slipped away from our modern cultures. In its place, people must fear going to jail. They must fear their lives being turned upside down. They must fear their pictures splashed on newspapers and websites. People must fear having their name forever associated with a criminal act if we are to have a nation with a rule of law. Martha Stewart lied blatantly in the justice system. To protect the institution of justice and reinforce a culture of truth-telling, she had to be prosecuted. I am very confident that should the circumstance arise, Martha Stewart would not lie to a federal investigator again. Guess whose words those are? Mr. 1001 violation himself tonight. All right, live from Studio 6B. More headlines with Delgado, more news with Vinnie Mac. Call coming up.
How'd you find it? Was it just someone posted it? Because that's got to be shared. We got to get that out into the world, just to show what a complete buffoon and hypocrite James Comey is. Even when he's walking along the beach and stumbling upon a shell formation.
Oh, flag.
And Martha Stewart, by the way, did hard time, right? She went to a real jail, didn't she? Wasn't like
Connecticut, right?
Is there such a thing as a real jail in Connecticut?
And Gardner Big D says, great job finding that.
Oh, the Islanders just tied it up 4-4.
Dun, 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 dun.
Islanders come back down 4-1.
Did you, you ever driving with the horn, beeping your horn that way?
I remember being on the Meadowbrook Parkway. Merrick Road.
Yeah.
Hempstead Turnpike.
Me too.
83, I'll never forget it.
So good. I was there, man. I was at the parades and everything else.
You're down 4-1. You tied it up 4-4. I know it's preseason, but we'll take it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Remember the guy with the cowbell?
Yeah.
My parrot does that when the Islanders come on. Starts doing that noise.
I miss the Coliseum,
there's nothing like it.
UBS is great. When we finally go to a game this year, you're going to love it.
Yeah.
It is. It's fantastic.
It doesn't have the same acoustics, though. I mean, the Coliseum had to be like this.
Coliseum, people were afraid to play there.
Blow up.
Yeah, it was it was wild.
That was wild. I love that place, too. Oh, my heart. Top 3 moments of my life in that place. Out of the top 10, 3 of them happened there. 3 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very, very,
one of them
very
is the
cool.
Islanders. One of them is the New York Nets, and one of them is Prince. 3 great moments
Nets.
in my life.
A Dr. J comeback.
Yeah, they won the NBA championship. There. I was there
against Kentucky.
They were in '74 when they beat Salt Lake City. '76 they might have beat Kentucky, but '74 I was there when they beat Salt Lake City.
People don't realize, they know how great Dr. J was, but if you watched him in the ABA days, that was one of the most amazing performances. The years he played for the Nets in the ABA, he was unbelievable.
Al Palmieri makes it 5-4 Islanders over.
All right, 30 minutes past the hour, live from Studio 6B on a Thursday night. Real America's Voice all across the country. Glad you're in. Slick's doing sports. Rick Delgado's going to do some more headlines. Vinnie Mac has some more news as well. Aaron and Fran holding it down. And we'll do a couple more things on the Comey indictment today. We'll try to get to a couple other headlines before we wrap up. But right now, please welcome back to the show one of our favorite people. He's the Chief Scientific Officer over at the Wellness Company, and that is Dr. Peter McCullough. Dr. McCullough, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to have you on. Interesting day to have you on. Ivermectin back in the news. And of course, it's something we've talked about a lot here. Obviously, a lot of people have become very familiar with ivermectin, obviously through COVID. And obviously, you've been on the show and talked about it as far as parasite cleanses. And now promise with cancer treatment is out there. And yesterday, I believe it was, the First Lady of Florida, Casey DeSantis, Ron DeSantis' wife, said that she made an announcement of a $60 million cancer innovation fund. And she says in a part, will support research into the benefits of repurposing genetics like ivermectin to fight cancer. And we understand that ivermectin cream is now also being talked about to be using in a variety of skin problems. Talk to us about all of this.
This should happen. We went through a pandemic. It's almost like going through a space program. There should be spin-offs. And ivermectin was probably the best spin-off of the pandemic. Very useful drug. Originally an antiparasitic. I used it prior to the pandemic largely to treat scabies, but now it's antiviral. And I think of great interest are the preclinical studies showing it's anti-neoplastic. And recently announced UCLA and Cedars-Sinai in LA are launching a big cancer clinical trial of ivermectin in a variety of solid organ cancers. So ivermectin and benazole is offered by the Wellness Company. It's certainly fine to use it off-label. We're studying the use, by the way, when people sign up. But people are adding this to their cancer chemotherapy regimens right now and to radiation therapy and other treatment. Because, if somebody has cancer, who wants to wait when the drugs are this safe and this available?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the first thing people always say when you have it. Most people's first reaction is, I just get it out of my body as quickly as possible. And of course, as we know, the traditional methods of chemo and things like that are, it's like breaking eggs with hammers. It gets the job done, but there's a lot of collateral damage. So studies like this are obviously really, really important. Specifically to the cream application, are there any side effects to something like that?
Unless there's some hypersensitivity to it itself. Actually, I prescribed it today for a patient. There's a whole variety of spike protein or post-vaccine or post-COVID syndromes now, cutaneous syndromes where the spike protein may play a role. It's previously on the market called Soolantra, topical ivermectin 0.5 and then 1% cream, but it is FDA approved to treat acne. And I think a lot of people who have that kind of deeper pitting acne are looking for some solutions. And Wellness Company now offers topical ivermectin And so here we go again. You know, one of the safest drugs known to mankind is having multiple applications.
We're speaking with Dr. Peter McCullough, is the Chief Scientific Officer at the Wellness Company. You can go to twc.health/voice, twc.health/voice, to pick up one of their prescription kits with ivermectin. I mean, we know the answer to this, but I guess it's a kind of a two-parter. Do you think the medical establishment's ever going to come around to ivermectin and admit that they were wrong in trying to ban it and trying to shadow ban it and everything they tried to do with CVSs and pharmacists? Why do you think they've been so... I don't know. Why do you think they haven't come around yet on it? Or is it just the obvious because it's too cheap and too effective and it doesn't fit their narrative?
Well, I mean, so many would have to admit they were wrong on it, you know, including the FDA, major academic medical centers. Now, my patients with cancer who are using it, I ask them to run this by their cancer doctors. And right now it's about 50-50. About half the doctors say, hey, give it a shot. Why not? And the other 50% are just, you know, they just bristle at hearing the word ivermectin. You know, pharmacies still won't prescribe it, so you have to go to the wellness company or local compounding pharmacies. And recently, Amazon opened up prescription drugs. They said off the bat, they're not offering ivermectin.
Yeah, amazing. Well, obviously, as the weather turns, we head into fall now. We're in fall, and then we head into winter. Obviously, eventually we get to flu season. I mean, it's seemingly every year. I feel like the CDC reports this is going to be the worst flu season ever. Obviously, we know the flu shot is pretty ineffective on the different strains. What's your advice to people? We still have a couple months away, but what's your advice as we head into flu season for people this year?
The flu shots in the last several years have been terrible. They've been statistically insignificant from zero in terms of efficacy. And now a big Cleveland Clinic study from Shweta and colleagues show if you take the flu shot, you're more likely to get the flu. It backfires just like so many people think. So I'm not advising the flu shot at all for people. I quit taking them in 2021. I was getting colds all the time. I'm so glad I stopped. And, you know, Wellness Company has wonderful treatments for influenza. The chances of any one of us getting flu is way less than 1%. You just have to be ready with one of the black emergency medical kits and start treatment on day one. You'll do fine.
Dr. Peter McCullough, he's the Chief Scientific Officer at the Wellness Company. Again, you can go to twc.health/voice to pick up any of the kits that Dr. McCullough spoke of, and they have many, all great. twc.health/voice. You can use promo code VOICE to save, I think, additional 10% at checkout. Dr. McCullough, always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, live from Studio 6B, 36 past the hour. Let's do some more heads. He's great. I mean, how great is Dr. McCullough? Huh?
I want to say something about this Dr. McCullough.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're just going to say he's great. He is fantastic. I have seen so many videos of him. Yeah. He was actually who I was quoting, talking about how Fauci lied to Trump, how Pfizer lied to him. They told Trump that they had a vaccine. It wasn't a vaccine. And Fauci lying, you know, one of the things he talks about is if Fauci told the truth, they would have had the genetic code of COVID and been able to actually create a real vaccine, understanding that code. Instead, they had this vaccine they came out with, which they already had, was already created. This was why it happened so fast. They all lied to the president of the United States. Dr. McCullough talks about this. He's amazing. He needs to get more notoriety. He needs to be all over TV as much as possible.
I mean, he has a lot now, but because he really put himself on the line, he changed his whole, I believe by trade, don't quote me, I believe he's a heart surgeon. I believe he was in the cardiac heart realm, I think. But kind of changed his whole thing, came up with this way to treat COVID very, very early on.
Yep.
It came out with the nasal stuff very early on to say, you know, there's a lot of other things here. You know, we're making decisions on really bad data. And a lot of what I'm saying, you know, he was very early on. He's fantastic. And there's many like him that really put their reputation on the line and talked about this stuff and pushed this stuff when they were being called kooks and everything else, and crazy people, and they should be banned and lose their medical license and everything else. They really were up against it. So, no, he's fantastic, and he's been right. So, all right, let's do some more headline news. Rick Delgado's got it. What's going on, Delgado?
All right. Well, the greatest headlines in the world, Damon. Let's get to some of them. Of course, there's one in particular that I'm going to follow up with. which is, of course, the story. We started talking about it. You made light of it last night at the end of the show. The U.S. Secret Service dismantling a significant telecommunications network in the New York area that posed an imminent threat to government officials and public safety, particularly during the UN General Assembly. I've got a couple clips here from one of the guys at the Secret Service, their public service guy, cut number 8. Here he is making a statement on dismantling that network. And his last name is McCool, and he strikes you as a pretty cool cat or a very cold cat, depending on how you read the way he makes this description. Cut number 8, check this out.
Hello. My name is Matt McCool, and I'm the special agent in charge of the Secret Service New York field office. We are making this announcement as a matter of public interest given timing, amount, and concentration of material recovered during a recent Secret Service Protective Intelligence investigation. Following multiple telecommunications-related imminent threats directed towards senior U.S. government officials this spring, the U.S. Secret Service began a protective intelligence investigation to determine the extent and impact these threats could have on protective operations. This was a difficult and complex effort to identify the source of these fraudulent calls and the impact on the Secret Service protective mission. The investigation led us to the New York tri-state area, where investigators discovered tens of thousands of co-located and networked cellular devices capable of carrying out nefarious telecommunications attacks. These devices allowed anonymous encrypted communications between potential threat actors and criminal enterprises, enabling criminal organizations to operate undetected. This network had the potential to disable cell phone towers and essentially shut down the cellular network in New York City.
Yeah, so a pretty big threat. The network was capable of conducting various telecommunications threats, as he mentioned, disabling cell phone towers, facilitating anonymous communications among criminal enterprises and nation-state actors. The investigation, again, as he mentioned, was triggered by threats that were directed at senior U.S. officials earlier this spring, indicating a serious risk of agency protective operations. So they started looking into this. Here he is continuing on about what they found, cut number 9, on the network and the devices of the investigation that they found, cut 9.
To be clear, these recovered devices no longer pose a threat to the New York tri-state area. We will continue working towards identifying those responsible and their intent, including whether their plan was to disrupt the UN General Assembly and communications of government and emergency personnel during the official visit of world leaders in and around New York City. Forensic examinations of the equivalent of 100,000 cell phones worth of data is underway. Early analysis indicates cellular communications between foreign actors and individuals that are known to federal law enforcement.
Yeah, so there it is.
He just said it, but I was just going to say the numbers are staggering. 300 co-located SIM servers and 100,000 SIM cards across multiple sites.
Yeah, 30 million text messages per minute that they had the potential overwhelming all the telecommunication systems in that area. Operation highlighting the evolving threats, he says, of the telecommunications infrastructure and the proactive measures that are being taken by the Secret Service to protect national security. So we'll see what as this thing continues. Just an amazing story that, you know, again, Damon, you brought it out last night that not enough people were talking about this. And
maybe they are. I didn't see anybody talking about it.
I didn't see anybody talking about it either.
I had heard about it.
I mean, you talk about all of this in a 35-mile radius around the UN with the ability to send whatever, what did we just say, 30 million text messages a minute.
Yep.
Wow.
Cyber-enabled fraud, telephone abuse, robocalls, all of that kind of crazy stuff. On that scale, sounds like almost like a test run for something maybe even bigger.
Yeah.
Like what were they doing?
Well, it sounds like the test run happened in the spring against those U.S. officials. That's what tripped them up and kind of alerted the Secret Service as to what the heck's going on here. So kind of amazing stuff that's going to continue to evolve. We'll stay on this story, find out what else is coming out from it. I do have stuff regarding President Trump. Today he's signing the deal with TikTok. We'll get to that later, as well as his thoughts on Jazzy Crockett.
All right, we'll get to all of that. Vin and sports. We'll wrap it up for a Thursday night right after this.
celebrating again?
Now it's like the Stanley Cup Finals.
This is your cup final.
Islander goal! Islander goal!
What's going on, chat? What's going on in chat? Come on. What's in the? Oh, we had a super chat. Hold on, I got an LSU Patriot sent us a super chat, but I snapped it.
Let's see what we got here.
I snapped the shot there. LSU Patriot, Big D, $20. Watch the Martha Stewart documentary. There's a whole part about Comey. He used identical tactics when he went after her as he did on Trump. Made the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Wow.
Definite pattern of behavior. Insane in capital letters. So thank you, LSU Patriot.
By the way, Damon, I twixted you a clip of Comey. I think it was the first day or second day of Biden's.
Yeah, it's already on our.
Okay.
It's already on our timeline.
Okay. He didn't sound like a fair arbiter of the law then. He wanted President Trump thrown in jail.
Michael McGuire says, I'll be 71 on Saturday and haven't had a cold or flu for 10 years since I stopped getting the flu shot. Wow. Amazing, huh? I've resisted it myself. I never go get that thing.
Are we doing the odds maker tomorrow night, Big D? I know you're out of town, right? You're out tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Okay, we're still on for odds makers tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Okay. We do?
We do.
Okay.
Who's that?
Eddie Brown.
Coming to town.
Coming on, downtown Eddie Brown.
Delgado Matt Mills wants to know when's the next What Even Is That?
Well,
are you going to make an announcement one of these days?
It'll be next week.
Really?
Oh,
coming back.
Delgado, that was a newsbreaker.
What's been the holdup exactly?
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
Started with the teleprompter.
You were out last week.
Let me see.
Oh, it's my fault. Gotcha.
3 days.
No, never.
Then the week before that,
I was going to blame Damon.
A certain.
Obviously
horrific.
not appropriate in the last.
Right.
Yes, we get that.
No, there's really nothing to cover. Yeah.
Who's that? The penguin from Batman?
That's Richard Belzer. Remember Belzer on Howard Stern? Yeah, right. Here. Yeah, right. I used to love that guy. He was funny for a while. Then he stopped being funny.
He became a cop.
D. Lavaca on X. I've looked for your video, but I don't know. We have too many messages, I guess, for me to find it because I don't see it.
Uh-oh.
Aaron, is there a mic open or something? I'm getting weird sounds in my headphones.
Oh,
just echoing.
I thought it was my stomach.
All right, 13 to the hour, live from Studio 6B. Before we wrap it here on a Thursday night, try to get to everybody here. Vin, I'll start with you. What else is on your radar?
Yeah, Elon Musk is back in the news. Apparently they made a deal today with the Trump administration using Elon's AI technology to help the government innovate, create things, be more efficient, and so on. I'm just, you know how I feel about Elon. I think I've been pretty vocal about it. I'm just a huge fan of his. He had a meltdown. He came back. But he's a great value to us as a country, to a society, to a world, and for the Trump administration. So I'm really happy he's back. And he also is ready to launch his new phone to compete against the iPhone, which is going to have a direct connection to the Starlink satellites that he has out there, where we won't have all these cellular contracts or any of these types of things. So Elon's going to create the Tesla of phones, which could be quite interesting. The other thing on my mind, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
How do you gain market share in the cell phone market nowadays?
When you have a brand name, first of all, when you have Elon Musk, that's a brand in itself. When you have a brand in Tesla, that is one way to get them distributed through every Tesla owner. And also, just because of who he is, it's an instant marketing machine. He owns X, one of the biggest social platforms in the world. People are going to know about this. And I guarantee you, he blows the doors off.
That's what I was going to say. Price.
$798 compared to $2,100 for an iPhone. So you can do the math. It has great camera, has all this stuff. And I'm happy. They needed some competition. I'm an iPhone guy. I'm an Apple guy. I love all the Apple products. I've been using them for years. So anyhow, that was in the news and caught my eye. And also today, I believe Marjorie Taylor Greene announced some legislation regarding a Clear Skies Act, she's calling it, which essentially talks about all that weather modification, cloud seeding. And I can tell you the talk that I heard when I was in Sarasota for the last couple of years about all the hurricanes we had there and how cloud seeding might have impacted that. And I know there's probably a purpose for cloud seeding, but there's also a real negative. And I think we might have seen that in on the west coast of Florida. 3 years in a row, destroyed a lot of property. So she's come out with legislation to kind of protect the country.
I saw the CEO, I think, of the big one on with Tim Pool. Did you happen to catch that guy?
The cloud seeding guy?
Yeah.
And what do you have to say?
He went back and forth with someone on Tim. I don't know if it was Tim Pool's team. I don't know if the guy was just part of Tim's show or he was his own host. It sounded like he had his own show. I don't know who he was. But they had an interesting back and forth. And I mean, I don't know. The cloud seeding guy sounded way smarter to me. Did you watch it?
I've seen him speak before.
He's no dummy.
He's no dummy,
you can be for it, against it,
Right.
think it's from the devil or whatever. That guy's pretty smart. He makes some very valid points on what they're doing.
Right. But unfortunately, we've seen where, all good intentions, where they end up.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
I'm just saying the guy's no dummy. It doesn't,
It could be quite helpful for areas that don't have rain or areas that need help and those things. And if cloud seeding helps that, but it does create
Florida
other
doesn't
dangers.
need help.
Florida did not need that. And
No.
I understand they had quite a bit of seeding that might have pushed the hurricanes into another level.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Well, he definitely won that exchange for me, but again, I don't know enough about it. But.
Okay.
All right, Vinnie Mac, very good. Any other headlines, Delgado, you want to hit?
Yeah, real quick. President Trump, here is what he had to say when asked about Jasmine Crockett at the White House today. Cut number 5. Here it is. Trump at the White House on some Democrats, including Jasmine Crockett. Cut 5.
Jasmine Crockett. Remember what I said? Is she a relation to the late, great Davy Crockett? I don't think so. Jasmine Crockett, let me tell you, before you even ask, she's a very low IQ person. I mean, if we ever had to pass an aptitude test, that's the one should take one because she shouldn't even be in the crowd. So I have no idea what you're going to, but I don't think we should waste our time. This is a low IQ person who I can't even believe is a congressperson. Between her and Ilhan Omar and the group. I met the head of Somalia. Did you know that? And I suggested that maybe he'd like to take her back, and he didn't want her. He said, I don't want her. Okay, what else?
I got a deal for you.
Even Somalia doesn't want Ilhan Omar back.
No, we don't want to talk to her.
Another story we'll dive into a little bit more tomorrow. I'll just give you a quick peek into what I'm looking at here. Recent drone sightings around Denmark, Damon, have raised significant concerns and prompted investigations by authorities. The Danish police and the Civil Aviation Authority have been actively working to identify the drones, sounds like New Jersey happening all over again, understand their origins, and find out who is in control. The sightings have occurred at various airports, including Aalborg and Copenhagen, and have led to temporary closure of the airports. The drones have been described as commercial-grade quadcopters operating in formations and violating no-fly zones. So the Danish government is all over this, trying to figure out what's going on. Again, sounds a lot like was happening last year, just before this time. On the East Coast over New Jersey.
Just like the video you played last week of the supposed UFO that took a Hellfire missile off of it. I don't think it was a UFO. I think it was a drone. And I think all of these drones, if we're being serious for a second, I think the United States is probably practicing some defense in the event of some kind of an attack using them. And I think that's why we saw that missile. And that I actually think that was a drone. And I think it was probably a test, some kind of test practice run on trying to take these things out. And maybe the Danish, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to find out.
That makes sense.
And last but not least, a real quick 30 seconds for you follow up on the rapture that didn't happen. Christians have expressed statement disappointment over the rapture not occurring as expected. Some attributed the delay to the unredacted Epstein files, a theory that suggests that God is postponing the rapture until the files are fully disclosed, which has led to a flurry of messages and speculation on social media. So I'll look into more of that for you. I'll have that for you tomorrow.
That's interesting point of view, isn't it? Yes.
So that's
If
why
you
the
think I'm
rapture's not
going
healthy.
down that road after the abuse I took the other night,
No.
I'm going
What?
nowhere near that.
No.
So
You got a lot of abuse over there.
good reporting, Delgado.
Not a
nice
problem.
job. All right, 53 past
Make
the
that
hour.
story disappear.
A couple minutes left here. Let's do a last minute check of the scoreboard. Slickster, brought to you by LFS6B. Yep.
Yes,
brought to
sir.
you by My Pillow. LFS6B is the promo code to use. What's going on, Slick?
Oh, we got some NCAA Division I football, too. East Carolina right now leading Army 21-6, 3:50 to go there in the third. Second half just underway. Seattle continuing to lead the Cardinals 14-3 in the State Farm Stadium there. Seahawks with the ball, and we'll see. It could be a fumble there. We'll see. Oh, look at this turnover. So, that could be a good game. I think that's going to go down to the wire. But we're going to win that one, Aaron. Let's get to Major League Baseball. Speaking of meltdowns, how about the Mets? They were up 8-0, and the Cubs have now come back to make it 8-5 in the top of the eighth. I don't even want to see Frank the Tank if the Mets blow that game tonight. That could be an epic rant. And the Yankees are up 5-3 over the White Sox, looking to salt that away. Top of the ninth and the top of the second, Rockies and Mariners, no score. Reds earlier today beat the Pirates 2-1, so that is a tight race in the NL. We will obviously keep close track on that. And 3 men arrested after Texas baseball coach shot during 20-minute gunfire barrage. This is Bob Price of Breitbart Sports. The Waller County, Texas Sheriff's Office arrested 3 men who allegedly shot a baseball coach during a pregame prayer, according to witnesses. The coach was shot during a barrage of gunfire from a nearby field shortly before the start of a Little League game. Terrible. And this is at a park located northwest of Houston. Houston Warriors founder Andy Bays told KHOU that the coach was saying a pregame prayer when he was struck by gunfire coming from a nearby field. CBS 11 reported witnesses say the gunfire came from 3 men who allegedly were target practicing from 700 yards away.
I don't know about that.
I know. There does not appear to be any gun range or protective berms located on the adjacent pack. So to your point, Big D, that may not be true. So we'll continue to follow up that story. But that's a wrap in sports. I know you got to wrap it up here, Big D. Thank you.
All right, as always, we salute our men. The show went so fast tonight.
It flew.
Holy cow.
I tell you.
As always, we salute our military, active and active police, firefighters, first responders, EMTs, everybody on the front lines protecting us, all our truckers, all our farmers. Thanks, guys, on the show. Aaron, Frank, great job as always. Most of all, thank you, the live from Studio 6B audience. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow night live at the America First Warehouse.
Yes.
Enjoy the night. We'll see you then.
effort. Even watching the video, this is a real, it's a model, but it's a real guy with real bags underneath his eyes.
My real true opinion is holy words I can't say on camera. This is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
And I did this to my father. We were at home. So we applied it to his under eye bags. And let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view. And now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. He calls me every single month saying, "Hey, Annette, I'm out of Plexiderm. Please send me more." And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. The way you want to do it is you want to have a clean, dry face. You use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger. This is it.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work for yourself after your first application. Call the number on your screen.
Call 1-800-854-0295.
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff, tense, or less active than before? Introducing the EasyWell Remedy Massage System that combines the incredible effects of vibrational therapy, targeted deep tissue shiatsu massage, plus soothing infrared heat. A triple fusion of therapeutic experiences. Full body vibrational therapy increases blood circulation and reduces inflammation. Look at these beads moving from the powerful vibrational motors.
It's like 1,000 little fingers just vibrating my body from head to toe.
Infrared heat penetrates deep to reduce pain, soothe, and relax.
Remedy gets in there and helps deal with the source of the pain, so you feel much better.
The Ultra Shiatsu pillow with 6 infrared heated nodes mimics a professional massage. Plus, it's detachable for deep relief anywhere you need it.
It's just something that you're gonna have to feel for yourself.
Experience the true remedy for your pain and stiffness.
Journalism. Are journalists a protected class that I was unaware of? Apparently you can kind of do whatever you want and get away with it according to libs so long as you are a journalist. The UN, why does it even exist? What purpose does it serve? And is it advantageous to anyone on planet Earth? Also, dog voting. Apparently there are dogs voting in US elections, and they wouldn't have caught it unless the lady who had her dog vote turned it in, which makes you ask the question, how many dogs are actually voting? All that and more coming up on this episode of Turning Point tonight. My name is Joe Bob. Thanks so much for tuning in. Together, we are charting the course of America's cultural comeback. This is Turning Point tonight. Got to remind you, you can email the show anytime you want, tpt@tpusa.com. So we got another fun segment coming up at the end of the show called Jokes on You. Yeah, we'll explain what it is, but you're going to want to have the email on file, tpt@tpusa.com. Also, thanks to Chris Hand for yesterday filling in as a guest host. My wife and I, but it really was her. She did pretty much all of the work. I was very encouraging, but again, she did the majority of it. Had a beautiful baby boy on Tuesday. Very excited. The house is so much more fun. So thanks, Chris, for hosting. Except for that comment saying that he looks like my wife, and thank God he doesn't look like me. I'm not that good looking, so I guess that makes sense. And I'd much rather have him look like his mom because, oh boy. She's a stunner. Anyways, thanks, Chris. Really appreciate you hosting last night, and yeah, we're back at it. We're back in the saddle. I thought this was really interesting, and I recognize there's a lot other stories to get to, but I think this is like a 30,000-foot view, big picture type thing that I think really is important and must be understood in the light of all of the tragedy and the response to Charlie Kirk's assassination. This is from a guy named Glenn Harlan Reynolds, who's been talking about preference cascades, which might be a new term for you. I've been kind of like tangentially reading about it, about what it is, but I want to explain kind of what it is, but mostly read a long part of this article because I think this depicts exactly the attitude of the country in the wake of a terrible, terrible tragedy and what Charlie's assassination actually did for the culture and is going to do and continuing to do for the culture. This is from Glenn Harlan Reynolds. I've written before about preference cascades where large portions of the public, often a majority, conceal their views for fear of punishment, which is something we've all seen over the last several years, several decades even, only to reveal those views when some precipitating event takes place. Charlie's views, uniformly disparaged by the press as right-wing extremism, are in fact mainstream, and we are realizing that in real time. He goes on, generally held by the majority of people, his assassination has caused people to step forward and realize the normal American community is a huge majority. That is absolutely 100% correct. He was particularly hated for holding a mirror to the face of higher education, exposing the hate and hypocrisy on our campuses. For decades, faculty has purged the ranks of conservatives and libertarians. Faced with the intolerance of most schools, polls show that a large percentage of students hide their values to avoid retaliation from faculty and from the fellow students. Charlie chose to challenge that. TPUSA challenged people to engage and debate them. Effectively, what he's saying is that the majority of the country for far too long has been controlled by the minority who is very, very loud and has soaked up so much of the power. What Charlie's horrible assassination and murder has shown, and I don't necessarily even say this is silver linings, this is just a repercussion of that, is that the majority of Americans, thank God, do hold Charlie's opinions and hold Charlie's beliefs and our beliefs as conservatives as a whole. It's just that the minority has been screaming so loud for so long that they've made us feel like we aren't the mainstream. But like he said, in reality, Charlie's views and Charlie's opinions were mainstream. By the quote-unquote mainstream media, they were written off as right-wing agitation or whatever they say. But the response to Charlie's assassination has been, from the overwhelming majority of Americans, we actually agree with him, and we are no longer afraid and no longer feel like we need to hide those opinions, because we are now emboldened by a terrible, terrible tragedy. He goes on to say this, and I just think this is interesting to wrap this up. People are getting the courage not to hide their views, which is problematic for the left, whose strategy has consisted of using bullying and propaganda to convince 80% of the population that the views of 20% of the population are in the majority, which is exactly what I think we've all been seeing and exactly what Charlie has been saying, and it's now coming to light with people who are unafraid to say, no, I actually do agree with so many of the things Charlie said. Is not a fringe opinion. It's actually the opinion of the majority of the American populace. People are getting the courage not to hide their views. Oh, this is what I just read. Sorry. But he wraps it up saying, not anymore. Not anymore are the American people saying, it's going to be difficult for me on my college campus, or it's going to be difficult with my employer if I say certain things. Now, the 20% of the loud online minority is no longer in power, and the majority of us, the overwhelming majority of us that believe in traditional conservative American values, are continuing and will continue to be emboldened again by a horrible, horrible tragedy. That is the inflection point, the turning point, if you will, from a 30,000-foot view. I recognize that this is something we've all kind of been aware of. We've all been noticing this, especially in the last 2 weeks. But the reality is, this is what is happening, and it's a way to put kind of a name to what exactly is happening. Preference cascades, which is interesting. If you have a second, go check out Glenn Harlan Reynolds. I thought that was a fantastic description of, again, what we're all feeling, but it was kind of difficult to put into words what it is. So with that, keep that in mind. You are not the minority. We are the majority, and we will take back all of the vestiges of American culture that were stolen from us by people trying to convince us that we were the crazy ones. Speaking of folks trying to convince you that you are one of the crazy ones, Jimmy Kimmel somehow got back on TV because President Trump is apparently the world's worst dictator. I say that jokingly, obviously, but if you were watching any of the media outlets the last several days, Trump is a dictator. He's a tyrant. He's a fascist. He's trying to control speech. Well, one, I was unaware that President Trump was the CEO of ABC and had all of that power to get Jimmy Kimmel suspended. And two, if he is the dictator that all the libs are claiming he is, geez, he's not a very good one. If he was actually a dictator, wouldn't Jimmy Kimmel still be off the air? But no, he returned to the screens on Tuesday night. I'm not sure if it was touched on this show specifically, but I did want to play a clip from that, which I guess will inform us as to what is actually the opinion of the folks that, we're talking about free speech. Were they actually talking about that, or were they trying to disguise their own self-interest? Well, I think it's pretty telling in what Jimmy Kimmel said about what he had said that got him suspended. Watch this clip and we'll discuss.
Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make. But I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset. If the situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way.
He understands those of us who think he pointed a finger. It was pretty obvious. It's not, I must have misunderstood. He literally said MAGA is trying to pretend that it wasn't one of their own. It's not a joke, really. That's just a statement of fact, and a statement made so dismissively as to suggest, well, of course, we all know this. What he said was reprehensible. It's not necessarily against quote-unquote free speech, but it's against the ratings. So many affiliates said, hey, we're not going to broadcast him. And those affiliates, Sinclair and Nexstar, still aren't broadcasting him. And the main thing I think that I took away from that is, if you notice, there's no apology. There was no, hey, I'm sorry I said this. There was a, I'm sorry you felt this way, which, I don't know, try that out on your wife next time you do something wrong. See if that works, because usually in human relationships, that's not the case on how really anything works. You apologize for something because you're showing contrition. Hey, I was wrong here. That's not what he said. He said, I'm sorry you felt that way, which is different. And I've said this before. I said this last week. I disagreed with Charlie. I think Jimmy Kimmel is a relatively funny guy. But unfortunately, I've lost respect for him, as I think many people have. Yes, his ratings were way up. People have made the case, well, Jimmy Kimmel's ratings are through the roof. 6.3 million viewers of his monologue, which is the highest ever. Yeah, it's a big news story. What's it going to be in 6 months? If he's still even at the network. Remember, his contract expires in May. I can't imagine Disney is going to want the headache of having to deal with somebody that they pay $15 million a year and cost this much of a headache. I just don't see that happening. The bottom line here is he said what he said and then claimed, well, I wasn't blaming any specific group, but you were. And look, we can show, grace for people who then apologize for it, but he didn't do that either. And while, I don't necessarily think Jimmy Kimmel is unfunny, and I recognize that's not an opinion that a lot of you hold, it's not an opinion that Charlie held, I can't respect a guy who won't apologize for something that he clearly did wrong and instead tries to gaslight everyone saying, well, I didn't say this. No, you have it on video. You did say it. And at the very least, you can apologize for what you did, not apologize for how we felt. Because we felt something that was real based on the specific thing that he said. Again, the least thing they could do is apologize for it. But that's not the case. I would be willing to place a large sum of money on the fact that the ratings will not stay where they are. And only time will tell if this is going to be something that the American people will accept. I hope it is not. We got a lot on the way, including some safe and secure elections that we'll talk about. The UN is freaking useless. I know Chris talked about that yesterday, but there's a specific point here that I think I'd like to try and make regarding the United Nations and their pleas for peace around the world. We'll also talk to Monica Page, Turning Point's White House correspondent. We'll talk about journalism and why, apparently, if you're a journalist, you can get away with anything nowadays. I wasn't sure that was in the Constitution, but apparently it is if you're a lib. All that and more coming up. tpt@tpusa.com is the email. We'll be right back after the break.
Through every storm, every moment of uncertainty, everybody needs to pray for Charlie Kirk right now. Rev has stood strong.
We're not going to tolerate this stuff anymore. Turn that anger into motivation to save this nation.
When we move together, there is power.
The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry.
This is more than news. It's a movement.
This revolution of people taking their countries back.
A turning point. A chance to be part of something greater than yourself. Scan the QR code and stand with Rev. The story isn't over, and neither is your part in it. Step in, be counted, be heard. Together, we are Rev.
We
will achieve American greatness. And we are just getting started.
Welcome back to Turning Point Tonight, where together we are charting the course of America's cultural comeback. The email is tpt@tpusa.com. You're going to want to have that, especially in the last segment. We're going to do something fun and new. So tpt@tpusa.com. Send all of your thoughts, comments, concerns. Don't send criticisms. We don't want the criticism. We don't want the criticism. We want thoughts, comments, and concerns. But tpt@tpusa.com. California, where sanity goes to die, has done another thing that only California can do. They passed a bill, and it was signed into law by Governor Gavin Newsom, that banned officials, ICE officials, or any sort of law enforcement, most law enforcement, from wearing masks because, doxing is not a problem at all. There's nobody online that would send pictures of ICE agents to the internet to say, hey, this is where this guy lives, here's his family, especially in these definitely calm political rhetoric times. Of course that wouldn't happen. So why would police officers want to wear masks in any way, shape, or form? This is Gavin Newsom on Stephen Colbert's show talking about apparently, so he was very pro-mask, now he's anti-mask. My money is on him going back to anti-mask when it suits him, but here's him on Colbert. Watch this.
That's happening in the United States of America. Masked men jumping out of unmarked cars, people disappearing, no due process, no oversight, zero accountability, happening in the United States of America today. People ask, well, is authoritarianism, you're being hyperbolic? Bull, we're being hyperbolic. If you're a black and brown community, it's here in this country. And so I'm deeply proud that I had the privilege of signing the nation's first bill to address the issue of masking.
Yeah, that's not going to terrify people at all, Gavin. Hey, black and brown folks, you might be disappeared by masked police. Or are they trying to protect themselves from lefty lunatics that put all their information online? Or shoot, wait, should I be scared? I live in California. Are the masked police gonna pick me up? I am an American citizen, so I guess there's that. If I were here illegally, maybe I would be concerned. But Gavin, they're making some comments that are ridiculous at best and awful at worst. The problem is for Gavin Newsom in California is that, this is not a problem, this is actually a great thing. The federal government has said, we don't care what you say. We don't have to listen to you in any way, shape, or form. Here's acting U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley, who's a friend, actually, commenting on whether or not immigration officials are going to listen to the edicts of Governor King Tyrant Gavin Newsom. Watch this.
We will not comply. We have no duty to comply with them, and we don't take orders from the state of California. That's not how this works. They have absolutely no jurisdiction. They have no say over the affairs of the federal government. They don't get to tell us how to do our job. That's not how this works.
Yeah, which I love. I love the federal government going, oh, yeah, pound sand, Gavin. Your dumb law that you passed doesn't apply to us, so we're just not going to listen. Which is hilarious if you think about it. So in California, law enforcement in all law enforcement, I think, at the state level is a sanctuary state. So you can't assist federal government in arresting someone who's here illegally. But by California law, and again, this is not going to be followed, you can arrest somebody who's arresting somebody who's here legally if that person is wearing a face mask in any way, shape, or form. So think about this. If ICE is tackling a criminal illegal, the police in California is only legally allowed to attack the ICE guy who's attacking the criminal or who's trying to arrest the criminal, which again is an insane way to look at things and an insane way to govern a society. Now, the workaround here obviously is if all of the officers have COVID, which, by the way, I know several ICE agents who've recently contracted the Fauci fever, who need to wear masks and therefore can get around the stupid law that they're going to avoid anyway. So California, yet again, where common sense and reality goes to die. And also in California, this is just going to be a California segment. Elections so safe and secure that a dog could vote. Literally, there are dogs voting in California. And the twist at the end of this is actually really interesting, so stay tuned. I want you to watch this clip from NBC4 about a lady who registered her dog to vote, and that dog's vote actually counted in real elections. Remember, elections are safe and secure. There's no tampering. There's no fraud anywhere. It's all above board. And also, this dog voted multiple times. Watch this clip from NBC4, and we'll discuss the small part in there. They do mention it in here, but nobody else is talking about this. Check this out.
What you're looking at is a 2020 voter registration form obtained by NBC4 for Maya Jean Urix of Costa Mesa. But this is a photo of Maya Jean Urix, a boxer breed, who allegedly voted in 2 elections after Orange County prosecutors say her owner, 62-year-old Laura Urix, registered her dog and cast her ballots. Laura Urix's attorneys say she self-reported her alleged actions to the Registrar of Voters in October.
Laura Urix sincerely regrets her unwise attempt to expose flaws in our state voting system, intending to improve it by demonstrating that even a dog can be registered to vote.
Maya has since passed away. Her voting record shows the dog's vote in the California 2021 gubernatorial election to recall Gavin Newsom was successfully counted. The Orange County District Attorney's Office confirms the dog's vote in the 2022 primary election ballot was rejected.
Okay, so a dog is apparently able to vote in California, and specifically in California, since they don't purge the voting rolls. Well, since the dog has passed, I feel like they're still going to be voting anyway. But here's the thing that I think everybody missed in this whole story. It's been covered relatively widely. I just, wanted to talk about it here because I don't see anybody talking about this. The lady self-reported. The woman accused of having her dog vote and those votes being counted reported herself out of some sort of fear of being, prosecuted or found out in some way, shape, or form. She turned herself in, effectively, meaning that they didn't catch it in real time. The people that are in charge of making sure that the elections are safe and secure didn't catch the dog voting, and had this lady not been an honest person, who, by the way, supported the recall of Gavin Newsom, they wouldn't have found out. What does that say about the system that we currently have? If a dog voting counts and nobody would have figured out, lets this lady self-reported, well, what kind of a system are we running here? Actually, there's even an argument to be made that this lady was just following a senator's advice. She wasn't even trying to exploit flaws in the system. She actually was following Senator Elizabeth Warren's advice, saying that dogs can, in fact, vote. Watch this.
Bailey.
Oh, greetings, Bailey.
Say hello, Bailey. And
we love Bailey.
Bailey is definitely going to vote in November, and he's voting Democrat all the way. Bailey for Biden. So we had to start with Bailey out here on the porch. It's good to see you.
Wow. Sounds like the senator from Massachusetts is attempting to commit voter fraud, which is a bad thing. Again, especially in an election system that is so safe and so secure. So easy, apparently, a dog could do it. Now, it remains to be seen, what's going to end up happening here. This lady apparently faces like 6 years in prison if convicted. It's, who knows how that's going to shake out. But I don't know, maybe that should be part of her defense. Hey, look, I was just following the senator from Massachusetts saying, oh yeah, my dog can vote. That's totally a thing that is possible to happen. I'm glad we do have a minute left to bring this on. This has to do with the mask story. So we're past the voting dogs, back to the masks. It was kind of related, but I wasn't entirely sure we were going to have enough time for it, and we aren't if I keep talking about it. Regarding masks, and especially regarding COVID and the UN, which we'll talk more about in just a second, I want you to watch this clip. This is Violet Affleck, Ben Affleck's daughter, for some reason saying that the entire world should continue masking. Watch this.
I am terrified for the children who do not or soon will not know a world without debilitating pain and exhaustion, who cannot trust their bodies to play, explore, and imagine, and who will not know the potential of their own minds unfettered by the cognitive damage from a COVID-19 infection. And I am furious on their behalf. It is neglect of the highest order to look children in the eyes and say, we knew how to protect you, and we didn't do it.
Insert this into next segment's argument as to why the UN is useless. Also, coming up, we'll find out what Britney Spears' nephew thinks about climate change. I don't know, man. What kind of world are we living in that the dogs are voting, they're outlawing masks for people being doxxed, and saying we should wear masks because COVID-19, the Fauci fever, is still such a horrible thing at the UN, which is a useless debating society. The world is topsy-turvy. The only way to right the ship is to brace yourself into sanity, which is what we're doing here at Turning Point tonight. Got a lot more show coming up. We're going to check in with Monica Page at the White House, as well as talk about the one job that is makes you exempt from all things law-related. It's journalism. Journalists are exempt from everything. Don't go away. We'll be right back after the break.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a Real Voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to RAV. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
My name is TJ Ash from Carbonville, Utah. Real America's Voice lets me express my conservative views without censorship or editing.
Hello, this is Kurt. Why do I love RAV? You ever talk to the host? You can do that on RAV. And the RAV family, they'll talk back to you too. Let you know what's going on. Take care.
Welcome back to Turning Point tonight, where together we are charting the course of America's cultural comeback. Let's check in with Turning Point's White House correspondent Monica Page at the White House. Monica, a lot of things going on this week. Specifically, the big conversation. This is like the 30,000-foot view. Is this discussion over radical extremist left-wing violence, which unfortunately has become a huge problem. It already was a problem, and it's obviously become bigger and bigger and bigger. What is the administration looking to tackle in terms of trying to get this under control?
Yeah, well, we heard the president himself in the Oval Office this afternoon answering a reporter's question, asking just that. What is to blame for this rise in left-wing violence? And the president blamed rhetoric on the left, specifically when you hear specific people like Jasmine Crockett and others in her kind of ball playing field over there that kind of say the same things over and over. You can also blame people like Kamala Harris, who has been saying for quite some time that, President Trump is a dictator, the left wing are deplorables, and the right wing are deplorables. We, as Trump supporters, are, the enemy. And these are kind of things that have been attributed to maybe some of the violence that we've been seeing the president says. So he's looking to maybe try to see what he can do and cracking down on this. There are a number of us here at the White House, honestly, who are ready to say, let's declare this a national emergency, because this has been going on for way too long. I mean, we've already seen our own boss, CEO, Charlie Kirk, be killed, and now we're seeing more attacks on ICE facilities. I mean, we saw it in Portland, we saw it in LA, now we're actually seeing it more in Texas too. So what's going to put a stop to this? How do we eradicate this once and for all? So I think we're going to hear a lot more from the president this week. I think he's got some more things up his sleeve. We're going to hear from the president at least a couple times the rest of this week and maybe even into next week on those next steps. But a lot of us are kind of like, what do we do now? Because we can talk, we can say this is bad, we can condemn this, but what are we going to actually do? And that's the big question.
And it's one thing, too, to say, hey, political violence on all sides is bad, which, yes, we 100% agree with that. But to say that it's not happening more on one side than the other is just being blind to reality. And, It's going to take some help from people on the opposite side of the political aisle to get this under control, considering that, unfortunately, there's an overwhelming majority coming from that side, too. And again, all political violence is bad on all sides, but it's coming from one side in a higher frequency than the other. To switch gears entirely and maybe even a little bit of levity here, President Trump went to the UN yesterday. I know Chris talked quite a bit about his actual speech there. Escalator gate, Monica, is there going to be any sort of repercussions, any sort of consequences from escalator gate? What, genuinely speaking, what are people on the ground there saying? Do they think it's a ploy to embarrass Trump? And what is the president saying?
Yeah, I mean, as you can see in the video, I mean, it doesn't look good. It's a complete embarrassment. I remember when I first saw the clip when it came out, I was thinking about how the first lady was feeling. I was like, oh my God, she's probably mortified getting up on the escalator and then it just stops moving. But the White House is doubling down on the actions to investigate what exactly happened, because the Times posted over the weekend that a couple of globalist UN members over there were joking about, oh, how funny would it be if we actually stopped the escalator from moving while they're on it? And this was kind of a joke, and the Times was ahead of it. But now we actually saw it happen. So one can only think this was planned. I mean, you not only had the escalator stop moving, but then you had the teleprompter go out. And then there were reports from the actual inside of the building where the president was speaking that the volume was a lot lower and maybe sounded a little bit more deformed than some of the other speakers. So there's a lot to unfold here. There's a lot to unpack here. And I think that the press secretary said that she's working with the Secret Service and she wants to look into it herself. What actually happened? Who was behind this? Because it always seems like whenever the president wants to do something, there's always somebody out there who tries to make the president look bad, who tries to do something to kind of fudge the plan here. And it's really upsetting. And I think a lot of people are seeing right through these attempts. So I'm excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, it's one of those things, too, that it's like effectively it's meaningless. Like it doesn't really mean anything. And at the same time, it means a whole lot of things if this is something that continually and consistently happens. So, yeah, I'm actually curious to see, even though it seems kind of trivial, like what do we care about an escalator? It's emblematic of something that's been going on trying to halt the president and really everything that he does. So I'm fascinated to see. Monica Page, Turning Point's White House correspondent. We'll love to check in with you again on that story and so many others tomorrow. See you then.
Thanks, Joe Bob.
Thank you. Yesterday, Chris talked about the UN and what Trump said and gave him a tongue lashing to all those foreigners, which is great. We love to see that sort of thing. But one of the things that I think is fascinating about the United Nations, and I think he touched on this a little bit yesterday, the fact that it's entirely useless. George W. Bush called it a useless debate society. Maybe that's what it should be called, the UDS, instead of the United Nations, the UN. Well, why is it a useless debate society? Well, let me give you an opinion that I have. I firmly believe that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie should get back together. I am 100% for it. I think we should all be for it as Americans and as civilization as a whole. Now, you might be asking, Well, why would they care what you have to think? Well, that's exactly the point I'm trying to make with the UN, which is a useless debate society. All of the things that the countries around the world say mean nothing if the countries involved don't care about it. The same way that I can fervently promote the reunification of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt means nothing if Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt don't want to get back together. A huge percentage, unfortunately, of the Western countries have now said, well, we are supporting a two-state solution. I want to play this clip from the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer about that, making these big announcements on the global UN meetings. Watch this, and we will discuss the analogy that I'm making to two movie stars and whether or not they have any interest whatsoever. Check this out.
In the face of the growing horror in the Middle East, we are acting to keep alive the possibility of peace and a two-state solution.
Oh, well, great. Now, Australia, I think New Zealand, Canada have all gotten on board. A bunch of these first world countries saying, we want peace in Israel and Gaza, and therefore we support a two-state solution. Well, here's the problem, Prime Minister, and all of the other countries around the world. You know who doesn't support the two-state solution? The two states. Well, what are we even talking about here? Israel says no, absolutely not. Hamas and Gaza and Palestine, no, absolutely not. So what are we doing? What is the point of making these grand statements of, we support this initiative? Okay, well, the two people that would be required in this initiative have no interest in the initiative that you're presenting, so what's the point in presenting it? I can scream at the top of my lungs, I want Brad and Angelina. Bradgelina needs to get back together. But if those two have no interest in getting back together, what am I doing? I realize that's a ridiculous example, but what are we trying to prove? Who are we trying to prove things to with all of these countries that are our allies, supposedly, turning their back on the way that we see the war in the Middle East and saying, well, yeah, we actually are going to try and go this direction instead. I don't know if they're just trying to appease all of the Muslims that they've let into their country and get them to stop screaming at them, which I would also say is, well, that's your fault. Why did you let the third world into your country? That's not my problem. What you should be doing is trying to deal in reality rather than make statements that have no meaning whatsoever. Like I said, the United Nations is a useless debate society. Even further than that, I'd like to play another clip from that same clip from Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, in which he goes on to kind of say what it is that he's actually meaning. Watch cut 9.
Today, we join over 150 countries who recognize a Palestinian state also.
Okay, so that Palestinian state that you're recognizing, what exactly is it, by the way? Just what is the Palestinian state? Is there a government that's been functional there? Are there treaties? Are there international relations that they have? What are we talking about? You've joined 150 countries to recognize something that doesn't exist. Look, I want peace. I'm not even taking a hard stance on the war in the Middle East. Obviously, I'd rather see the Western country prevail. I'm not talking about whether the United States should give them more money. I'm not talking about this, that, the other thing. I'm not talking about AIPAC. I'm just talking about the rest of the world's response and how it is not based in the reality of the situation. Nobody cares of all of the floofy statements that you make if there's no semblance of reality in the quote-unquote suggestions that you're making or what you want. It doesn't matter what you want if neither of the two sides are willing to participate in your resolution that your country passed. It is ridiculous. I have been saying this for a while, and this is the ending of this rant. I realize I'm getting a little worked up here because of how stupid this is. Why is the UN a thing? Why do we house the UN? Why do we pay for pretty much everything the UN does? And why do we allow the rest of the world to come into this country and say, hey, the United States is doing things wrong, especially when we know for a fact that the things that they're suggesting aren't based in reality, so it's clearly not going to work. Somebody sent an email, and I think this is appropriate, and all it said was, deport the UN. Sure, I'm cool with that. Let's get the UN out of this country. Let's stop pretending that every country in the world is the same. It has the same voice, and their opinion matters just as much as ours. It doesn't. The UN is a joke. It is a useless debate society. Always has been, always will be. Let's deport them. That email was sent, by the way, to tpt@tpusa.com, where you can also email the show anytime you want, tpt@tpusa.com. Coming up next, we're going to talk about journalism and the fact that if you're a journalist, you can do anything you want, according to a bunch of the libs, and especially how they're treating some of their journalism hills to die on for some reason. And it's not actually censorship in any way, shape, or form. What it really is them trying to get their point across by calling somebody a journalist, which I'm explaining too much. You'll find out next segment. Don't go, we'll be right back after the break.
Now is the moment to put your brand in front of an engaged, loyal audience through Real America's Voice. When you advertise on Real America's Voice, you're not just running an ad, you're partnering with trusted voices like Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, and other influential hosts. Backed by millions of monthly listeners.
What's happening? Because of a real voice, man. I watch it all the time.
Real America's Voice rocks.
Real America's Voice gives sponsors the chance to put their product front and center, displayed on screen and highlighted by our anchors during exclusive segments and live events.
Head to freetrumpknife.com.
This means your brand becomes part of the conversation as it happens.
Secure your spot before it's too late.
Join us today and make your brand part of the news conversation that America's viewers trust. Real America's Voice, where your message is seen, heard, and remembered.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
When the bacon wants real facts and figures, he goes to RAV. Real America's Voice, baby. That's where you get the real scoop and not the poop.
My name is TJ Ash from Carbonville, Utah. Real America's Voice lets me express my conservative views without censorship or editing.
Hello, this is Kurt. Why do I love Rav? You ever talk to the host? You can do that on Rav. And the Rav family, they'll talk back to you too. Let you know what's going on. Take care.
Welcome back to Turning Point Tonight, where together we are charting the course of America's cultural comeback. tpt@tpusa.com is the email that you're going to want to send some stuff there, because we're doing a cool, fun, interesting thing in the last segment of the show called Jokes on You. Stay tuned. That's going to be very fun, but you're going to want to have the email tpt@tpusa.com. Send in your thoughts, your comments, your criticisms, even tpt@tpusa.com. You know, I was unaware. Apparently, certain professions just make everything acceptable. If you're a journalist, for instance, you can just do anything you want, whenever you want, wherever you want, and there should be no punishment whatsoever. That is, I feel like, the case that the libs are making for this guy named Mario Guevara, who is here illegally, but but they call him a journalist. Therefore, we should let him out of the country or out of prison for some reason, or out of ICE detention. Here to comment on that and a couple other journalist stories is political commentator Lydia Schaefer. Lydia, so just to set this up, this guy was arrested at a No Kings protest. The local law enforcement charged him with obstructing law enforcement officers, unlawful assembly, and being in a pedestrian walking road, and a bunch of other different things. Those charges have been dropped, but the federal government said, wait, this guy's here illegally, and therefore have been holding him since that arrest. But for some reason, the New York Times and a bunch of outlets said, well, he's a journalist. Lydia, I guess I must be missing that part of the Constitution that says, everybody's treated equally, justice will be served, unless, of course, you are a journalist, in which case you can do whatever you want. Guy's been here legally since 2012, said, hey, you got to get out of here. He never left. Why, for some reason, do libs take this in a different direction depending on someone's profession?
It's wild. Like, they're freaking out, aren't they? And look, no one is saying journalists shouldn't have the right to cover protests like they're claiming. But that doesn't give anyone a free pass to skirt immigration law. If you're in this country illegally, even if you're holding a microphone, you still have to follow the law. This isn't freedom of press being under attack. We're talking about illegal immigration. If you want to work in America, build a brand, make a living, you do it the legal way. That's what real immigrants do.
Yeah, and even the New York Times reported, well, okay, so he's not in the country legally, but he does have a work permit, and I think they also said he had a social security number. Okay, well, if you, go to these blue states that just give anybody a driver's license, a work permit, or whatever it is, I don't even know how that negates anything. Effectively, again, I don't quite understand the idea of, well, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of when any hospital, any building that is attacked in Gaza is all of a sudden a hospital. We don't need to get into that whole tangent, but the verbiage there feels like it's fuzzy. What I don't know, do you think this sort of stuff is going to stick? Do you think people, especially now, are going to start seeing kind of through all of this?
I would certainly hope so. I mean, ICE didn't wake up one day and say, let's deport a reporter. They followed up on a record from 2012. The fact that this person was still in the United States more than a decade later, covering protests against law enforcement, that's just ironic. First, they want open borders. Then they want illegal immigrants to vote. Now they want illegal immigrants to become activists and journalists with full protection from law enforcement.
Yeah, I don't quite understand making the case of like, oh, we're arresting journalists. No, we're arresting a guy who was here illegally, who, by the way, is like a TikTok journalist. I'm not trying to like diminish, his reach, but he's got a bunch of social media followers. And, I don't know how much that counts. So you can call anybody a journalist if that's the qualifications. Lydia, speaking of journalism, we talked about this last week. There's somebody named Karen Attiah who I was unfamiliar with, but she was fired from the Washington Post for saying, taking an entire thing out of context. She basically said Charlie Kirk said that black women don't have the brain power and therefore have to take a white person's job. I want to play you this clip again just to keep that in context and then tell you what she's up to now. Watch this.
You really have to wonder, in fact, if we would have said 3 weeks ago, Blake, if we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
That's all we need to hear about that. That's, again, the full context. Basically, Charlie saying, hey, yeah, you're pushing DEI, which effectively says this thing. She obviously took that entirely out of context and was fired for it. Lydia, it seems to me, if you're going to be that out of context and you're not going to understand the context in which you're quoting somebody, It's not because you're, celebrating the death of an assassination, a political assassination. I mean, that's horrible. But really, what it seems to me is they got fired for being a terrible journalist. At least that's the way I'm looking at it. How about you?
I completely agree with you. And I mean, I hate to get off script here, but can I read you one other thing that she also said?
Sure, go ahead.
I've got it right here. One of her posts said, refusing to tear my clothes and smear ashes on my face in performative mourning for a white man that espoused violence is not the same as violence. She made it clear in that post that she wasn't mourning Charlie's death. She was justifying it. When you say someone espoused violence and then say, don't expect me to mourn, you're trying to rationalize that murder.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a terrible thing to say. But again, I think she was fired because she clearly doesn't know how to think. Now, the update here, and the reason why we're re-talking about this story is because she's apparently set to sue the Washington Post. She's lawyering up. The letter that she wrote to the Washington Post says, her lawyer said, she spoke truthfully and forcefully about matters of vital public concern, which, okay, I think we just proved the point that that's not exactly what happened. She's then, she's going to continue to sue. This I thought was interesting. I want to bring this tweet up. This is former President Barack Obama saying this is precisely the kind of government coercion that the First Amendment was designed to prevent. And the media companies need to start standing up rather than capitulating to it. Him then saying, well, for some reason, this is Trump's fault. Not the fact that she said something awful. Not the fact that she journalistically said something blatantly untrue. It's Donald Trump. Lydia, did you know that Donald Trump also runs the Washington Post? He also runs ABC as well as being the president of the United States. I was unaware of that. Was unaware of the immense power that he had in all of these sorts of companies. Or is it the fact that they're trying to blame somebody for something that he didn't have anything to do with?
Well, I mean, it's always Trump's fault. Didn't you know that? I mean,
yes, mm-hmm.
It's pretty hilarious. She wasn't fired for disagreement. She was fired for hatred wrapped in opinion. You know what I mean? I mean,
and inaccuracy.
Ultimately, the root of this is like everything she's saying is it's evil. It's not journalism. I mean, and now she's doubling down. No apology, no retraction, just more race baiting and victim blaming. That's why she was fired, and rightfully so.
She did, just so we can have this on record, getting this straight, she did correct her misquote of Charlie, but that was after she was fired. And so, yeah, my contention still is like, it's not for what you said because of your opinions. It's because you ran your mouth saying things that are blatantly untrue. And that's actually looked down upon in the line of journalism. I'm a comedian. I don't necessarily call myself a journalist, but I have a lot more intellectual integrity than that, I at least would hope. Lydia, final thoughts here?
Well, I mean, this is why people don't trust the media. It's not journalism anymore. It's activism dressed up in bias and hate. So honestly, this is just more of the same, what we've been seeing for quite some time. I just hope that people are waking up to it now.
Yeah, one can only hope. And you know what? Honestly, after all of the things that have happened, not to put the tragedy in any sort of a brighter light, it looks like people are going to start waking up. And I hope that, as many have said before, this is a turning point. Lydia Schaefer, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Coming up next here in a couple segments, we're going to do this new thing called Jokes on You. You're going to want to have the email, tpt@tpusa.com. We've talked a lot about, well, I'll save that for a little bit. We'll be right back after the break.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
Lazar Garcianovich here from Japan. Love Real America's Voice, real news, honest views, and love seeing everyone there. God bless America.
It's Stacy from Texas. I watch Real America's Voice because I need to learn, and I know I can get the truth through Rav. God bless everyone, and always love the children. Amen.
Welcome back to Turning Point Tonight, where together we are charting the course of America's cultural comeback. You know, you can always email the show, tpt@tpusa.com. We love seeing all of your emails, thoughts, comments, concerns, not criticism, but also if you have some criticism, feel free to throw it in the email, tpt@tpusa.com. Sorry, I paused there because I was going to go through, go straight immediately to the social media platforms. If you follow me on social media, which you should, by the way, JOBOB, there's not many Jobobs out there, and especially not brown ones, and especially ones that have all their teeth. You can find a bunch of the stuff that we're doing in kind of preparation for the show, and also some of the stuff that I've been posting, which, I've been posting a lot of different videos of Charlie and myself, and I explained this yesterday in a post. Every time we seem to be on camera, we always happen to be laughing. And I think that's one of the big things that is so often missed when we're talking about Charlie. Obviously, he was an incredible debater. He was an incredible mind, an incredibly serious person when he needed to be. But he also had a funny side. That's why we got this show. That's why we're doing this. It was like a lighter take on the news. And I understand the last couple of weeks have not necessarily been that. Hopefully, there's still some snark and sarcasm that peeps through. But Charlie loved to laugh, and that's why I think we're going to start doing this, in the memory of him being able to be funny, and in kind of remembering those moments where the guy was a funny dude and he loved to laugh. So this is going to be called Jokes on You. This is the first time we're doing it, and if you follow us on social media, JOBOB, really any platform. Also, Turning Point Tonight has a YouTube channel. Be sure to check that out because we do a lot of extra content there that you're going to want to take a look at. But if you're following on social media, we're putting out these types of videos and saying, hey, give us a response. Jokes on you. Let us know what you would make as a joke to this particular video. I'm not going to talk too much more because that's it. That's the explanation. Follow us on social media so you can find it. This is the first one of those Jokes on You, Jasmine Crockett, and then we'll get to some of the jokes that you all submitted. Watch this and we'll discuss.
And so I do want people to know that just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal.
Just because someone has committed a crime doesn't make them a criminal. Some of the jokes submitted by you, and I'm going to keep this anonymous. And also, I'm going to say, don't blame me. If some of these are offensive, it's not, I didn't write these, okay? Don't blame me. In no particular order. They're not criminals. They're just crime curious. It's funny. That's funny. That's, I'm not going to grade all of these. That's a good one. Someone else inputted, just because I went to an expensive private school doesn't mean I can fake Ebonics. Have you ever heard Jasmine Crockett talk before she was elected to Congress? Sounds like a normal everyday American. Now she sounds like she did. All right, that's an act. You don't actually sound like that. Somebody said this one, just because you eat people doesn't make you a cannibal. I think it does. I think it does, but I understand the humor you're making. This one's in the weeds. It's not in the weeds. This is a very ubiquitous clip. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. I'm not no musician. I make music. Again, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. I thought this one was really funny. 160 years later, Jasmine Crockett admits reparations aren't actually necessary because having slaves didn't necessarily make you a slave owner. That's good. You guys are funny. Again, go follow us on social media so you can submit these jokes. So yesterday, how it worked, we put this clip into the chat and then said, fire away. And these are the best ones that came out of this. This is I don't condone this sort of behavior. I gotta go fast. Ms. Crockett thinks that just because you committed a crime doesn't make you a criminal. That's great news since I recently stole her car. Good. That's a good joke. This one, I did not write this. This one, dang it, we don't really have time for it. Go follow on social media for the follow-up joke to all of this. But jokes on you. Find me on social media, Instagram, Facebook specifically, where you get to the Joe Bob chat. That's where we send all of these. You can send your jokes in and have a chance on making the jokes on you here. That's going to do it for us here at Turning Point tonight. Thanks so much for Chris for filling in yesterday. Congrats to the wife and the new baby boy, and I guess myself. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless America.
Charlie Kirk Show starts now.
Today, Charlie Kirk rests in glory in heaven for all eternity. He has gone from speaking on campuses in Wisconsin to kneeling at the throne of God, where he is right now.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, this is Christ speaking, except a corn of wheat fall onto the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. And I want to thank Charlie for his sacrifice because much fruit is going to be realized.
Now, I want you to know that Charlie right now is in heaven, not because he was a great husband and father, not because he saved millions of kids out of darkness on college campuses, not because he changed minds and chased votes to save the country, not because he sacrificed himself for his Savior. Charlie Kirk is in heaven because his Savior sacrificed himself for Charlie Kirk.
But the main thing about Charlie and his message, he was bringing the gospel to the country. He was doing the thing that the people in charge hate most, which is calling for them to repent.
I believe Charlie is still urging us not to sit back, not to be quiet, but to carry on his mission forward, loudly, proudly, and with the same conviction he showed.
Sacrifice is a gift. Sacrifice is that last full measure of devotion for God, for country, and for his people.
We will devote the rest of our lives to finishing the causes for which Charlie gave his last measure of devotion. You cannot defeat us, you cannot slow us, you cannot stop us, you cannot deter us. We will carry Charlie and Erica in our heart.
But we go forward strengthened by his faith and bolstered by his courage and inspired by his example to defend the country he lived for.
You see, Charlie Kirk was a true believer for the cause of freedom, for the power of young people, belief in our republic and our founding principles, in America first and make America great again.
But more importantly, he was a true believer. Only Christ is King, our Lord and Savior.
The lesson of Charlie's life is that you should never underestimate what one person can do with a good heart, a righteous cause, a cheerful spirit, and the will to fight, fight, fight.
Charlie lived what our founders envisioned. Freedom, the right to speak even when we disagree. Freedom. I may not agree with what you say, but I will fight to defend to the death with my very life your right to speak.
Now, our whole administration is here, but not just because we love Charlie as a friend, even though we did, but because we know we wouldn't be here without him.
In the words of Soren Kierkegaard, the tyrant dies and his rule is over. The martyr dies and his rule has just begun.
On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Thank you for being a patriot. Thank you for standing in the gap.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Every day, there's a battle for your mind raging. Information coming from every angle with the will to deceive. Fear not. You found the place for truth. The voice of a generation that still has the will to believe in the greatest country in the history of the world. This is the Charlie Kirk Show. Buckle up. Here we go.
All right, welcome to the Charlie Kirk Show. I am the executive producer of this fine show, Andrew Colvett. And today is the day. We have waited long enough to confront some of the lies, the out-of-context clips, the cherry-picking of quotes that people are, mostly on the left, are using to smear the legacy and the memory of our brother and our friend, Charlie Kirk. And it is incredibly apropos that joining me today, wide shot please, is our Thought Crime crew, because most of the clips that ultimately surfaced came on the show called Thought Crime, which we would do every Thursday night. and that would be with Jack